Let's
look
see
at
your
me.
talent.
No,
Huh?
hey. No, you need to look at me.
I don't have to do.
You need to look at me, and also you don't need to do shit at the same time. Welcome into the preview. I thought that clip would be slightly the mood that I'm taking today because, you know, sometimes it's been hard to really celebrate a win. It's been hard to really mourn a defeat. But look, you got to take the mentality of the dude that's moonwalking on Dr. Phil. He don't give a shit. All right, we're Tottenham Hotspur. There's a certain effervescence that we must bring to the match. But look, anyway, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. But how you doing? Welcome into the match preview. As you can see, I've got pulled up first thing. The Tottenham are likely to be without Mickey Van de Ven and Christian Romero. So, you know, I am not the clown.
I am not a clown. I am a
All right, I am not a clown, so just remember that. But big up everybody, welcome in. Do hit that like, hit that subscribe if you are new, or if you're just a frequent flyer. Then what's up? How you doing, you sexy bastard? Let's say hello to the chat. Big up, just a harmless potato. How are you doing? Big up to you. Hopefully I'm not muted, because apparently all my shows like to start muted, but I haven't seen a flurry of messages saying that I'm muted, so I think I'm okay. Eugene, how are you doing? Big up, Eugene. Good to see you in the house as always. Says, what's up, Jacob and chat? Hope everyone is well. I'm doing fantastic, my friend. How are you? Jonathan G, another good old buddy calling in. Look, I did the Wham Wham call-in show that convinced me that Ainge is not the right man for the job. And everybody that calls in, you know, all they do is reaffirm that I think he is the right man for the job. So there we are. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe that's what tomorrow's show will be. You know, I'll do the preview today, and then we'll do the wham, you know, last chance to call in before we go stomping on City. Or maybe I do it after City, win, lose, or draw. However, you know, I feel like the narratives could be placed either way. Either way this goes, we win, we lose, we draw. There's going to be shit to talk about. But anyway, big up Jonathan. Always good to see you, my friend. Says, good morning all. Wishing you all a blessed day. Wishing you a blessed day as well. What is it? Probably just about noon in Australia. I don't know the hour change exactly, but I know you're living in the future, my friend. Just a harmless potato. Good to see you, my friend, as always. Spurs GCTV. Yo, Jacob and Chewy. Big up Spurs GCTV. Hope you're well. Chewy's here. Hang on. There you go. There he is. There's Chewy. Big up Zapur. Big up everybody. Only way we win is if we're clinical with our chances. Very, very true, my friend. Very scared with Dragusin and Davies. We should at least concede 2. Hopefully we can get 3. I think there will be concessions of goals. Now, if we can reciprocate the concession of goals versus, you know, on the other end, remains to be seen. I hope we can. Originally, I was going to wear my Heung-min Son shirt, but I realized that usually I wear that, and then he's either gets hurt or he just doesn't have a good game. So, you know, I'm going to try and change it up. I'm going with the all-black sweater today. But big up, good to see you. Matty Kushner's in the house. Hello, Matty Kushner. Matty Kushner, how are you doing, buddy? Benito Sotelo, my friend, how are you doing? Says, I still think we can get something. Hey, you know how you talking to me right now, Benito?
Just let me eat you one time. Just let me eat you one time, and I guarantee you, you're gonna ask me to stay to your house. You're gonna sleep for 3 days, my baby. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna make you cry.
How you gonna show us?
Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Benny. That's what we doing. We pulling up like that. You know what I'm saying? One time. I have you sleep for 3 days, baby. I love that clip, man. I just have to find a way to just fit it into every show personally. But Benny, when you're talking to me nicely, you're talking to me just like that gentleman was talking to his, I'm assuming the Juliet to his Romeo. ZX Ainge backing Bentancur. He might be the MAGA Ten Hag. I think he's just backing the club. The club decided to appeal it, and he's just saying that he backed it. You know, I don't really want to talk too much about that. However, it is a subject that must be addressed. We will discuss. Making good time. You made it on good time for sure. Says, big up Jacob and Chad. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of nervous about this match. Don't be nervous, baby. It's all going to be good. Staffy TV's in the house. Says Staffy Rude. Big up Staffy for that. Make sure you go on over and like and subscribe to Staffy TV if you haven't already. Big up to you. Fenric Wood. Big up Jacob and Chat. I would say we'll get battered, but we never know with Spurs. You know, it's a good point you bring up here, Finn, because honestly, what happens is... I saw a comment and it distracted me. But what happens here, Finn, I feel like we play really good versus the good teams. We play really shit versus the shit teams. So if that formula stays true, which I presume it will, we're going to have a good game tomorrow. But a little spanner in the works, I think, would be the fact that we both just coming back from international duty, and I believe we had more players on international duty than Manchester City. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I do believe we had more in the internationals than City did this go around. Ainge lost the fans after the City game last season, calling out the fans after losing 4 games in a row, Well, he did say he wants to win every game, and the fans were saying, please lose this one, and he was like, no, thank you. So it's, it's one of them things. Don't worry. We've been there last year without the pair and still got the result. That is a good point. I am not a clown. Not a clown. How about a jester? I guess those technically would kind of be similarly the same thing. Maybe. Shoshi. Hey, big up. Shoshi. Chris Peters, big up. Excuse me. Hello, Chris Peters. How are you doing? Coys, I'm going up to Manchester on Saturday. Let's hope for the best. Maddie, Maddie, you need to look at me, right? If you're driving a car, you need to pull over, rewind, and go back to this moment because I'm going to tell you this right now. You are going to be the reason why we get the W, or at least a point. I'm going to say at least a point. I'll be fine with just a point. I'll be extravagant if I get them 3 points. And Maddie, you may be the one to take it from decent to extravagant, my friend. So bring the positive vibes, cheer on those boys, yell loud and proud for them because I know they're going to need it. It's a tough venture ahead. Future Music says, big up Jacob Chewy and maximum respect, brother. Big up Future Music every single time. You're living in the future and you got that music. You got me feeling some type of way.
I'm feeling beautiful.
Yeah, I'm feeling beautiful too. So appreciate that. Tough game versus you Spurs. Vader, I knew you would say, bro, shoot me a text if you're free. You want to come on and chat the game with me in a little bit. Let me know. I'm just going to be kind of bullshitting until then. And hopefully what happened on one of the most recent previews was I bullshitted for about 2 hours. And then I was like, shit, I got to actually preview the game. And then I don't even remember if it was a good preview or not. But... I'm going to do the same thing, and hopefully I can keep the bullshitting at a minimum. But you know me. We're going to party and we're going to bullshit because that's just the vibes we got over here. So talk to me very nicely. See y'all. Assad. FA, UEFA, FIFA, all frauds. Yes, sir. I agree. Yes, sir. Hang it in the Louvre. Hang it in the Louvre. We played without Couto, Romero, and Benjamin last year at the Etihad and came away with a 3-3 draw. Kevin Gonzalez, and if we're following the same notion, then you would argue, at least I would argue, that City don't look like they were the same beast that they were last season. However, Kevin De Bruyne is training again. Akanji's training again. John Stones is training again. They're having a lot of their injured players come back and start training. Now, I do know Van de Veen allegedly is training with us as well. So, but it sounds like he's not going to play regardless. I really think you flip a coin, and that's the way this game's going to go. But hey, we got to do what we do, baby. But watch my shoes. Big up, Benny. Hit them likes. Come on, remind everybody to hit those likes, baby. Holland against our back four. Emerson Royale and Ben Davies pocketed him last year. I know they scored 3 or 4 on us, but he did not score 1. How about that? I think he had a few awful misses, a few awful misses, but we'll move past that. We'll just scamper on through that like a little mouse on top of a loaf of bread. Big up LFC Aaron, hit that like button. Come on, they appreciate it. Reminding everybody to hit that like button because I often forget as I do whenever I'm bullshitting. Big up Ravi. Big up to you. Respect to you as well. Much love. Hope everyone's feeling blessed today, man. I do feel too blessed to be stressed, however, slightly stressed. But I am thankful for something as well. I'm very glad that we're playing on Saturday rather than Sunday, because on Sunday, I like to, wrap up my weekend. But when there's a match that day, I got so much shit going on Sunday, it really doesn't feel like I wrap up the weekend. So by doing that, all the party and bullshit on Saturday, I think it's the way to go. So I'm going to do a watch along tomorrow. All right. And that's going to be tomorrow, or not tomorrow, a watch along on Saturday. That's going to be the content for that day. So, hopefully we'll see you there. I know I've been kind of slacking on the watch alongs. It's just A, they're time consuming. B, it takes a lot out of me energy wise. And then C, like my wife, like, I do a pregame show on Weird Tottenham TV, then I do the watch along, then usually something afterwards, and that's a lot of time that I'm just here. You take both the kids, so it's kind of difficult to do. However, we're gonna do it this Saturday. Harsh Patel, how are you doing? Arsenal fan here, bro. But I have a big feeling that Spurs will win with Solanke scoring 2 goals. So go get the win, guys. Come on, Harsh Patel. You ain't talking harsh at all. You're talking very nice. I like that. The players have got to stand up and be counted. Well, they are counted. I don't know if they are accounted for, though. At least their performances. Big up Faz Radfar. I wonder where your score prediction is. Says, big up Jacob. Don't waste your time with B City 4-1, no doubt. Faz, you talking real nice. I like that. Jacob, question on how Spurs cut through City's defense. Like butter. Well, I don't know. That's just me talking shit. Banter aside, I think it's going to be a tough task because our forwards have shown an inability to get over the line versus Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Brighton. So you got to hope that that's going to change when you're playing the 4 in a row? They've won 4 in a row. So hard to really talk down on them. We're here for the bullshit, Jacob. Don't worry. Hey, I appreciate that. The only reason I come is for the bullshit. Hey, talk to me real nice. You get plenty of that here. I'll tell you that much. That's true. Davies Masterclass incoming. Where's Donovan? I need a Daddy Davies in the chat. Where's Donovan? Analysis of our back 4 against Holland isn't necessary. You don't have to just look at it. It's like a donkey. You don't ride a donkey. You look at them and you let them just kind of be there going ee-aw, ee-aw. And that's always nice. 10:15 here. So not even noon. Just early in the morning. Talking real nice. I'm going with a 3-0 clean sheet, says Shoshi. Clean sheet, Shoshi. Wowzers. I don't know how to respond to this other than, that's what's up. Like, I would like that. I don't know about a clean sheet. How do we do it? How do we get a clean sheet? I don't know. But if that happens, I don't even know what to say to that because I don't see it. I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I can see us getting a result of some kind. But the clean sheet sounds crazy, but you're talking real nice either way. So I do like that. Personally, I would start Spence at left back versus City and then Udogie versus Roma. Interesting shout there. Spence has yet to play a match. I don't even think he was on the bench versus Ipswich. Hang on, let's find out, shall we? Was he on the bench versus Ipswich? I don't think he was. No, he was. Okay, so he was on the bench versus Ipswich. But not well, he wouldn't go to Galatasaray. He wouldn't be on that bench because he's not in the European roster. And he was not on the bench for Aston Villa either. But look, I mean, while I've got the table up, 16 points that we are on. Now, we can't control what happens with Chelsea, Arsenal, Forest, Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Villa. Can't control anything what happens with them. But ostensibly, we win, talking to me real nice in 3rd place. Now, it only takes a draw out of the first 3 anyway. It takes a draw out of Forest, Arsenal, or Chelsea. Any of those 3 teams, well, then we would drop below them. But still, 3 points off of the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. Now, I don't know if that's indicative of of Arsenal's form as of late. Maybe it is. But for me, we could have been up there right now if we had won versus Ipswich, and that Fucking Sykes. Got to firsthand experience your Wham Wham supporters. Jonathan, you know what they say? You get close enough to the poo-poo, you're going to start getting a stench of some poo-poo near and around you. And that's what happens, baby. You dipped your toes in the pool full of poo-poo, and then you're like, ew, my toes are stinky. Yeah, baby. That's because you were taking a dip. And I live here. I'm in it. It's funny, Jonathan, because, you know, shout out Spurs King TV. I highly recommend, if you think I'm stupid, if you like my shit, whatever, any way you feel, I definitely recommend you subscribe. Anybody subscribes to Spurs Kings TV because, first of all, I can't speak highly enough about ASHMATIC as an individual, but also as like a football head. I feel like when he talks, I'm in school and he's the substitute, the cool substitute that's actually helping me learn shit, you know? So big up to ASHMATIC every single time. It's just anytime I hop up in his chat, he has a very diverse crowd in that chat. I poke my head out just a wee bit, a little poke, yeah, a little one. Just put a little poke out there. And you know what happens? About 15 motherfuckers start talking to me. But they ain't talking to me nice. They ain't they're not ready for me to just pop in and start talking to me nice. So Jonathan, just know, even as a Spurs fan, everywhere we go, they fucking hate people that don't just fall in line and like, I'm a sheep and you're not going bad. So what's the deal here? Nah, you know, I'll be honest. It's just weird behavior. Like, why so many people upset with me? I don't know why. I just go into a chat and about 17 people just want to start, get a job. Your attempts at stirring the pot are weak. And it's like, what? All I did was, everyone's in there going, Ange win, ooh, Ange, all this negative shit. So I just pop up in there with like, Ange is a Don. And then they lose their fucking minds. Like, it's like, well, what is it? You know, when there's like piranhas, that's what it is. It's like little piranhas. And I just took a little slab of bacon and I go in the water, and all them little piranhas, bro, they just can't stop. You motherfucker. Oh, how dare you think Ange is the guy? Fuck you. How dare you? Get a job. You're making money off this club. Another one even said, I don't even want to say their name because they're that much of a pussy, but I'll read off what I was sent. It says, fans talking about a stadium they've never been to in a country they've never visited, proper Tottenham. Basically mocking the fact that I'm, A, live in America, and B, haven't been over to UK yet. So it's very interesting. It's just interesting. Like, what does that have to do with my opinion on Ange Postecoglou? I have no idea. But, however, Spurs fans can't wait to fucking try and get a little chomp. You know what I'm saying? You dip a little bacon in there and they go chomp. Speaking of a little bacon in there, big up Chris Peters. Big love, Jacob. Going to bed now. Come on, you Spurs. Big up Chris Peters. I appreciate you sponsoring the channel tonight and every night that you are here. Trying to get this camera to give you some balloons before you go to bed. But you know what? I guess Basuma might be healthy. So there we go. Big up Chris Peters. Much love for that. I do appreciate you. The fuck was I saying? I don't really remember. Anyway. Oh yeah, Jonathan, you dip your toe in there. Them piranhas in that pool of poo-poo, they gonna come chomping at your toes. So just watch your toes, my friend. That's why I like to do a little bacon instead of my toes, because I learned my lesson. It's good times. It's really fun, like, to try and explain to my wife what the fuck is going on in the Spurs hemisphere. Like, it's really difficult to. She's like, this just sounds so fucking weird. And then she questions why I even do this. Because it's like, why is there so many weird people? It's, you know, life, I suppose. It's just, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it. We can just disagree, you know, and it's all good. It doesn't have, we can disagree and you don't have to attack where my GPS location is. But c'est la vie, I suppose. Perchy. Hello, Perchy. How you doing? The City's lost every game since they last played us. Matty Kushner. Now, you bring up a point that I like to. I titled a few videos, Ange broke PEP. I was going to do that today, but I didn't want to anger the football gods. Hang on. I really didn't want to piss him off because I feel like too many times I try to be braggadocious online with my titles and stuff, and then Tottenham slaps me right in the mouth. So what I did today was I just figured we could slander Pep Guardiola as a human. Why not? Because we're grasping at straws, I suppose. And I don't want to be like, Ainge broke Pep. He did, but, you know, hey, we can just move on. Three-legged dog, how you doing, baby? Hopefully you're walking nice. Big up to you. Hope you are well as well, Perchy. Question, Jacob, are you confident with your midfield? Quick answer, no. Hell no, I am not. Big up, all much love. Big up, Pure Coys. How you doing, baby? Talking to me. Ed Madden, can't believe Bentancur ban when both he and Nunez get nothing from EPL for what happened at the Copa. When I saw the footage of Nunez, thought he'd kissed his career goodbye. Ed Madden, it's interesting what people deem, you know, I guess violent conduct is okay. You're allowed to join into, you know, a hoopla, a hoedown, a hoot nanny. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was a scrap of sorts, and it looked crazy. And the dude's head that he busted open, because Bentancur had a glass bottle and he threw it, and it binked one of the training staff of the Uruguay national team. And so they probably just didn't press charges, so that way it didn't become a bigger deal. I don't know. That's my best guess anyway. Plus 10, second best goal difference. Interessante indeed. I'll pull that back up for you there, Just a Harmless Potato, because that's just a harmless fact and stat that is true. Liverpool with that plus 15 goal differential is kind of crazy. They've only conceded 6 goals. Liverpool has only conceded 6 goals. Is fucking crazy. But their goal differential right now is plus 15. We're at that cute little plus 10, 1 ahead of Man City, 2 ahead of Chelsea, and a mighty whopping 4 in front of Arsenal in that regard. So, you know, I do believe the fact that I think it's an anomaly that we are as low as we are. It's a matter of circumstance because it's clear that we're scoring goals. And then you even go back to the matches where we failed to score goals like we should have. 35 chances versus Newcastle and Arsenal. 35 chances, and 1 goes in off of an own goal. So if we would have scored maybe 2 and 2, that's 4. I don't know. We'd be looking at plus 14. Our goal differential would be looking mighty, mighty fine. So, you know, I'm enjoying the way we play. People saying the tactics don't work. He's clueless. He's this, he's that. Look, there's one thing you need to say when you talk to my manager. And whatever it is, it better be talking to him nicely, because when you fail to see what the big Ange Postecoglou is cooking, that's your own fault.
Ange Postecoglou.
Does that clear it up for you? Or maybe this.
Ange, ladies and gentlemen.
Ange, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Ange. So you can take that. You can take that. You can take that. Big up, Matty Kushner. Good night, baby. Come on, you Spurs for Saturday. Safe travels, my friend. Stay blessed on your travels, on your journey. I'm watching a show, and a lot of it was taking place in Scotland. And they're like, oi. And it's fun. And it makes me think of all of you lovely folks out there in the UK. So good night, Matty Kushner. Have a blessed evening. Big up to you, keeping it real, being true to yourself, don't change. Look, Jonathan, I try my hardest to just keep a level head. And, you know, I match silliness with silliness. And some people really don't like that. And that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. I survive knowing that I am me, and you can survive knowing that you are you. It's very simple. If you don't like what I'm saying, one thing to do.
I surrender.
Just roll the window up. All right, you don't like what you hear, just roll the window up. But anyway, we keep moving. Good evening from North London, Jacob. I'm back for the Immaculate Vibes. Hey, Elvis, since you're in North London, maybe you can tell me, am I a real fan? Because what I was told was, you know, fans talking about a stadium that they've never been to in a country that they've never visited, and that it's like a bad thing from a Tottenham Hotspur perspective, that how dare I, in Texas, speak about a club in North London. Am I allowed? Elvis, you're there, so maybe you can tell me. Maybe you can tell me, because somebody need to tell me. I mean, shoot. Sure, I just got a text message. Hang on. I'm gonna share this link. 1 second. 1 second. Stand by. But big up Elvis. Maybe you can answer that for me. If I'm allowed to speak, is that okay? Does that make you look bad that I'm speaking on it? Maybe. I'd never waste my time watching that weak shit. Ange in. Baby. Ange, baby. Ange pasta coglu. Ange, baby. Ange pasta coglu.
Ange, Postacoglu.
It's a beautiful sight, isn't it? Where was I in the chat? Clubs like Liverpool appreciate their international fan base, but we will get there. One day, my friend, one day. One day. I think it has become both extreme sides of the Ange debate, both sides of this battle has become ridiculous. Whatever people think of the manager is overall pointless. That's kind of how I feel about the government. You know, whether I want A or B, it doesn't really matter. So I understand the sentiment completely. Ignore the haters. We all need different opinions. Finn Rickwood, big up to you. You know, I try to do what I do, you know. Just ask that that you watch my shoes is the quote. Same here. It's really difficult to explain to my wife or sister what's going on at Spurs without making Ange outers sound like a bunch of whiny coons. Zapur, it's like, how do I talk about Tottenham without mentioning the foolery, the tomcockery, the, shall I say, buffoonery, the donkery? Why can't we be friends? We all love Tottenham. Why are you mad at me that I live in America? All right, mate. Anyway, all right, mate. That's how I feel about it. You're in America. How could you talk about Tottenham? All right, mate. That's my response from now on. All right, mate. I can't even make my voice go that level. Man City haven't lost at Etihad for nearly 2 years. We ain't winning this, unfortunately. Perchy, let me know that crystal ball that you rubbed, and please do. If you are wrong for any said reason on Saturday, let me know and jump on my watch along at the very end, and I want you to come do a little dance for us and celebrate the victory with us. Not even say sorry or just do a little dance and enjoy yourself with us, because my crystal ball that I got off Amazon, it stopped working about 3 weeks ago. So all of my predictions are just really that, predictions. But maybe your crystal ball. But this is kind of the mood I want to hopefully that we get on Saturday. Keyword hopefully. Hopefully that's everybody this Saturday. And I hope it's not like, oh, well, Pep, you know, when we did beat them in the Carabao, I was like, Pep didn't want to win it. Well, hopefully we can win it, and then they can say that again. Ange broke Pep. Okay, clueless. He left Haaland on bench, joking around. Nick, are you okay? My friend, are you all right? Ange broke Pep. Bro, it's okay to say stuff, you know. It's gonna be all right. You're allowed, you know. This isn't, what do you think this is? Yeah, Ange broke Pep. You know what? Fuck it, bro. Because you made me do this now. You made me do this. This is on you. I'm gonna put Ange broke Pep in the title. Put an Ange broke Pep in the title. Ooh, speaking of in the title, in the cut, more like it, we've got a very special guest. ASHMATIC.
Yo, cuzzy. Yo.
Bro, I was just giving you props, and then you texted me. It was divine intervention. Serendipitous, one might say. But how are you living, my friend?
You say you just did that. You know, like the Batman side, you just shine it, and then
It's like this.
I just come running like that.
Hey, I love it. How are you doing this Thursday evening? It's a little bit late, almost trickling into the Friday morning for you. How's life?
Well, I'm a madman. I've come back from football and I've got decorating to do. And I've just jumped on it, just been decorating. So I'm kind of knackered, not going to lie. Went to lay down, checked the phone. I said, oh, wait, hold on. Jacob. Oh, shit. all right, let me just do this thing quick. So yeah, now
Hey, I
here I am.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's love right there. And you know, there was a couple of things that I was actually talking about before you jumped on, and one of them is, am I allowed to say things like Ainge broke Pep? Because Nick here says Ainge broke Pep. Okay, clueless. He left Holland on bench, joking around. But the proof is in the pudding, as they like to say. Or you know, out in Arkansas, where my grandmammy used to make me food, she said the proof is in the gravy, honey. And you know what? In that gravy, they lost 4 games since then. Or wait, they lost that and then 3. So you know, hey, I ain't saying he broke it, but he definitely dented the wheel, maybe.
He said he started the fire. Yeah, he started the little motion in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's, you know what? Obviously, I would love to jump on the bandwagon if we weren't playing them on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? If we do damage to them again, then yeah, you could definitely say Ange broke Pep. You know what I'm saying? I think he's got a point to prove now. Hence why he signed that deal. He's like, listen, I can't leave like this. I've gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? So I reckon, yeah, it's gonna be war, man. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
So my question that I put in the title of the video, my general thing, and there is a poll in the chat, so make sure you get your poll in the chat. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Make sure to vote on the poll that's in the chat. Get your poll in the chat. Sounds like a euphemism. I'm gonna say this, that is this the best time or is this the worst time? And there's 4 options in the poll, and a couple are kind of serious, like, you know, legitimate answers. But what do you think? Is this the worst time to play them or not? Like, I was texting Sava yesterday. But Sava and I've honestly, because I know how much he loves David Ginola, and I've been like during this international break just looking at Ginola highlights like crazy. That's a bad boy. That's a bad man. I see why Savo's in love. So, and we were kind of chatting. At one point, he asked, like, what do you think about City? And I just kind of was like, I don't know. It could either be the worst time to play him or the best time. Maybe this is still them revving up their engine to go on their title charge. But surely we would be one of those stepping stones that they should get the 3 points on for said run. So, and Pep Guardiola, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's ever lost 5 matches in a row in all comps.
I think there's never a right time to play Pep.
And then they just signed him a contract today.
Yeah, he just.
Well,
yeah.
they announced it anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a right time to play Pep's team. Do you know what I'm saying? But look, we had this with Arsenal, bro. That's why I'm not going too fast. Why are you coming fast? Why are you coming fast? Listen, for me, we were meant to smash up Arsenal. Remember, Arsenal were weakened. Do you remember that? When Arsenal didn't have this player, didn't have that player, didn't have that player.
No Rice, no Odegaard. Or yeah, because Rice was suspended and Odegaard just got hurt.
This is what I'm saying. So me personally, I'm kind of, and you know, like if it wasn't for our waveform, I know like recently, City, we tend to do them over when no one expects them, because actually, when you think about it, when City are in form, that's when Tottenham turn up, because people think, Tottenham are going to do well, and they write us off. But you know, you can say the same about now. There's quite probably a few people writing us off in this game, but I am not going too fast. No, I'm not making a mistake. Not me, no, sir. But let me just throw this in. I know like the Brian's fit. They've got a few guys coming back that are fit. Grealish as well has had 2 weeks to kind of like get back in. I know he features for England for a little bit. But the way Pep likes to play, from what I can see, he doesn't like to rush players right back in. Do you know what I'm saying? So everyone's scared of De Bruyne. De Bruyne's, he's a bit older now. So I think he's more likely to come on as opposed to start the game, in my opinion. Then you've got Kyle Walker. I think he's this season's looking a bit, I don't know, old. He's still got pace in him, don't get me wrong, but I think he's got mistakes in him. So I think they might go with a Lewis instead of a Walker. Do you know what I'm saying? They might pick a Lewis, get some young legs in there. But if they do play Lewis, that means he's going to drop in a double pivot with their number 6. Do you know what I'm saying? So if he does that, that means that whole right-hand side is going to be open and free for Son, and I would imagine whoever's their centre back, he's going to have to deal with Son. Maybe it's Akanji, I think. Akanji's going to have to deal with Son. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a few matchups. I'm looking forward to it without going too in depth. But I think, yeah, listen, Man City, they've got no Rodri, so it's always a good time to play City when they don't have Rodri, bro. And we saw, you know what? It wasn't just Brighton. It was before Brighton. I saw them kind of messing up. Before Spurs, I saw them kind of messing up. When they played, I think it was Southampton they played before us. And Southampton were getting at them. And Southampton are piss poor, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? There was another game I watched. I think it was Bournemouth. And they were getting them. Wolverhampton. Wolves. I don't know if you watched the Wolves game, bro. But the Wolves were hungry. And they
Yeah.
Do you remember that, yeah? So, listen, it's not even like...
That's the thing. Is like there's been matches like that where for us, for them, for I guess everybody outside of Liverpool, I mean, even them, Nottingham Forest winning 1-0 at their ground. It's like I feel like everybody's dropped a little bit of point there, a little bit of point here. Maybe that means they're falling off. Maybe that means the teams around them are getting better. I don't know. I'm not the one to say what the final call on that is, but I mean, in late history, really since Pep said the Harry Kane team, we've kind of enjoyed playing City sometimes, and sometimes it's not been very enjoyable. But I mean, there's a few times I remember Kulusevski getting the equalizer to tie 3-3. Harry Kane obviously got a goal, broke the record versus City, and they had just done the treble, I think it was, or they did the treble that year. I don't remember. But either way, Harry Kane dunked on their fucking head. And, I think about moments as like, we really play good versus good teams and bad versus bad teams. So
This season, yeah.
It's kind of, we can't score versus Ipswich, but I'm supposed to believe we're going to break down Vardy with Brennan Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that good in my heart that I feel confident in that sentiment.
I think Vardy, what he's going to do, I honestly think on the ball, I think he's going to do a lot of damage. So Porro, and whoever's on that right-hand side, I'm assuming it's Dragusin, they're going to have to be about that life. They're going to have a good performance because I think Vardy is going to be overlapping, and you know how deadly he is when he gets inside that box. But the thing is, and this is what I like, when teams have the ball, that's when Spurs are at their most dangerous. So if Vardy's pushing high up, that means there's space for Brennan Johnson, for example, to kind of, I wouldn't say run the channel because that's not really his. I think Kulusevski is the one that gets the ball before Johnson, kind of runs amok in that kind of channel, and that's when you see Johnson kind of running towards the goal inside of him. Am I making sense? So it's like a 2v1 situation. And if City are playing a back three in possession, I'm assuming their back three. Stones is fit, right? So it could be Stones could play, Akanji could play, and then their third centre back. Ooh, I don't know who it could be. Who could be their third centre back when like Vardy pushes up? Because I envision Rico Lewis, like I said before, inverting. So there might be an opportunity where there's a bit of space to run in behind in either flank or even centrally, because I still think their DM not Rodri levels, and he hasn't got legs when they lose the ball. So all the danger City have to do is have to damage us when they have the ball. Do you know what I'm saying? But when they lose the ball, they don't look as good. That's all I'm saying.
So we've shown an ability to beat them this year, and we've also shown an ability to beat teams in different manners this season. So I like to operate off this season personally, because a lot of times things get brought up and it's like, 18 Premier League matches. Like, oh, we only played 11. Where do those 7 come from? Oh, well, the numbers of those 7 help illustrate a point I'm trying to prove. So it's just like, oh, we're including it because it fits a point, but you don't. For me, if you're going to include something to make your point, you got to include all the data. Like, let's include the entirety of last season then. Let's include the entirety of our opponents. So, like, I've never really felt that we were like worse this year. At every juncture, I feel like we've been better. When we've lost, we haven't lost like the same way we lost last season, except for Ipswich, Palace. Those two matches really reminded me of just. Actually, I don't even think I saw those kinds of losses last year. And I think about it because I don't remember being like, oh wow, Cuti Romero really disappointed me here. But as of late, he's really been disappointing me. Real quick, big up Faz Radfar, 4-1 Spurs, here with the Super Chat, becoming a sponsor tonight, and really every night that he's here, commenting, hitting a like, share, subscribe, all those things. Help the channel grow, and it doesn't cost any money to do that. Says, we are the last team City wants to play now, no question. What do you think about that, Ash? Do you think that we're the last team that City wants to play? Shouldn't that make them more hungry to beat us? Their manager just signed a contract.
Yeah,
1 and 4.
No. Listen, that was to galvanize them, I believe. I think that's going to be pushing
like a
up.
martyr almost. We could be that martyr, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, our away form's not the best, but like you said, where they're falling their side. For some reason, we just stick it to them. It's like we're the one team that they just can't get around, and we've done it numerous amount of times when teams. I remember the debut as well of Bergwijn, and he scored that goal at the Etihad.
Oh, that was great.
I was off my seat. I was losing my mind. I
remember screaming. They gave him 2-3 because he's like Jordan. They gave him 2-3 like he's Jordan. I was going crazy, bro. I loved it.
Bro, that was magical. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
but it's like almost hard to live back up to that, right? Like after your debut was. I don't mean to sidetrack and talk about Bergwijn, but like as a player, like how many players come out like and just Eric Dyer, his debut, he had a banger, and then he just fucking, Danny Rose. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had a banger on his debut. That was his debut or his first start or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, but then they don't score many more after. I don't know. But anyway, yes, continue your point.
Yeah. Another one. But I mean, look, we've had memories. We've had positive memories against them at our ground and at the Etihad as well. So it's a thing where, yeah, like this is the team out of all the teams we can get something against. And you just really can't call it. You really, really can't call it. And I'm going to write Eugene, big up Eugene, member for 3 months. I'm doing your job, Jacob. Ash.
Oh, here you go.
Ange will keep the high line. I think, personally, the line with we played last against Ipswich, I don't think that was like typically high like we normally do. And I think we won't have a lot of possession like that to have the high line, if that makes sense. I think City will have a lot of the ball. They will pin us back in our own path. So I think that's where it comes to. I mean, if we are to have possession, yeah, we are going to have the high line because that's just the way we play. Just like how Aston Villa play with a high line against any other team. Do you know what I mean?
Agree. I do think it's dependent on the possession.
Yeah, I think the possession will naturally push us back. Do you know what I mean? So I think they will have. I think the last game we had 40 to 45% possession, and they had about 50 to 55% possession. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the last time we played,
I'll look into it. The last time we played them, are you talking about in the Premier League or
Premier League? Actually, yeah, both times in the Cup and the Premier League, I think.
So when we beat them in the Cup, it looks as though damn it, hang on, I mean, we can always do this, and I can just show you what I'm looking at here. I thought it would show it in this part, but I think I gotta go to the show more.
Go to statistics.
Here we go.
You missed it.
There it is.
You got it? Oh, yeah.
So we had 32% possession.
Yes.
This is in the Cup.
Yeah. 32% in the Cup. I think it was in the league. I think we had 40% and 50. But I think we've changed since last season. Not just like the old.
So last season when we lost 2-0.
Yeah. Look at the formation that we had. 2 up front.
I think this was at home. I think this was actually at home.
Yeah, that was at home.
Tyrese Hall on the bench? That's crazy.
Yeah, Austin, Royal. If you go up into the actual lineup.
Yeah.
You can see that we've had 2 up front in Heung-min Son and Brennan Johnson with Pape Sarr just behind. So you know when people say like Ange doesn't change it, and that game he literally changed it. I think when you look forward to this season compared to last season, we're playing far less passes compared to last season. We're doing less passes, which means to me we're doing less short passes. What does that mean? Why are we doing less short passes? I ask myself. I think Ange wants to be a little bit more direct, meaning less tiki-taka, because that's the kind of style we do. We kind of do short passes, and it means sometimes it's a slower build-up. So I think this season we're trying to be a little bit more direct by having less short passes and more medium to long size passes, and as a result, we're getting into almost double figures. Well, we are in double figures. We're the second or the first highest team in terms of shots and then goals. And I think it's because of that tactical tweak. And obviously we've got new coaches from what we had from last season. Do you know what I'm saying? Last season, This season, we're having to learn a new slight tactical tweak because we've got 2 new coaches in, and the Matt Wells had been upgraded from the coaching staff into assistant coach. Do you know what I mean? So different ideas, different voices are speaking right now, and the players are taking on different information. So they're having to bed into these new tactics. Just to throw that out there, because I haven't heard many people bring that up. Everyone says, Ange is not a coach, but no one's really talking about the new coaches. All they're saying about the new coaches is about Nick Montgomery. I'm not Nick. Montgomery, anyway. He's the set piece coach. That's all they're talking about. And they'll talk about Jedinek, or they might talk about Mason. They're not talking about the coach that was the under 21, that's being pushed up to an assistant coach. And those philosophies and those tactics, how they're slightly different. Because I remember what Anne said. Anne said he gets his coaches to challenge him. That's why he always brings new people in to kind of challenge like what he thinks his style of play should be. Do you know what I mean?
So he's not stubborn and naive in that sense of like he's always right and he knows best. It's weird how he has that kind of humility, yet some of our fans do not. It's interesting what the mirrors might show when you put them up to the people's faces. But if you put a mirror up to Donna Cullen's face, it would say that she has became a sponsor tonight with some gifted memberships, 5 to be specific. And let's run through those who got gifted the memberships. Well, Dubs in the chat for Donna. Wagwan to you indeed. Wagwan Donna.
No kebab. Welcome to you.
Yes. Kuva 99. Kuva. Dry roast peanut, Ariel Sidansa, and Brian Daigle. All 5 of yous got gifted membos from the one and only Donna. So Wagwan to her and everybody. And thank you for that. Real quick, looking at the poll, out of 65 votes, thoughts on City versus Tottenham. Right now, 32% says it's the worst time to play City, as opposed to 26% that say it's the perfect time to play City. And then another 28% just says 50-50 chance. You never know. So everyone seems kind of who the fuck knows. Seems very, maybe we could, maybe we can't. And, I kind of like Tottenham's chances when it's like that. It's like, you never know. You might not. It doesn't look like we will, but we could. It's like this ebb and flow of doubt. Typically, when we have that ebb and flow of doubt, we perform well. But to the point that you were making, ASHMATIC, in regards to the last times we played them, so I was looking at it while you were talking, and if you see here, when we drew at the Etihad last year, we had 45% possession. When they beat us at home in the league, we had 55. So when we have more, they beat us. When we have less, we drew or we won. Now, I didn't look at the FA Cup match that we lost 1-0 to them, but we all know how that was. Just fucking one set piece, wham, sham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and it was over. And I think that gave them confidence to come back into our house and to beat us again when they did beat us at 2-0.
We do have to watch out for the typical back post, because that's been our undoing this season, where between
Brian Hill started that fucking game. That's crazy.
Yeah. I remember that turn that he did as well. That was the one that set the ball off. And
Yeah,
then,
he turned and got Lo Celso. Was
yeah,
it?
got Lo Celso's had really good performances against Man City. I feel like
It was City and Villa. It was everyone else he couldn't perform against.
I feel like Spurs are missing a left-footed midfielder. You know what I mean? The reason why I say that, I think if you've got a left-sided midfielder,
Isn't that what Kulu's left-footed?
he is, but he plays on the right. But I wouldn't mind a left-footer midfielder on the left, like how Lo Celso would operate on the left, carry the ball, and then what happened? What I mean is, if you're a left-sided midfielder, you can receive on a half turn from maybe like a Ben Davies or Dogie, who's also left-footed. So you could pick that ball up and then you could find someone like Son in space. You don't have to cut back onto your right foot. You can hit it first time because you're left-footed. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I think with Kulu's a good ball carrier, but I would like a left-sided midfielder that could pass quicker, because sometimes when you take too many touches or you dribble, that allows players to get back in positions, allows teams to set, and then you can't unpick teams compared to, remember, the ball always moves faster than the players. You see what I'm saying? So if you had a left side midfielder, he could release the ball a bit quicker and find our wingers or find our forwards in space, if that makes sense. So, for example, Son could be, or even Werner, like as much as we don't like Werner might be in space. He hits Werner, comes on in the second half, stretches the game, and then crosses it across the box. And then, Johnson does his normal tapping. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by having a left-footed midfielder that could hit those passes up, medium to long passes in between the lines.
I'm not to sound like a dick, but again, I've been all week watching Ginola highlights and just soaking it all in, wow. And then it's just oh yeah, I have Timo and Brennan. Why don't they do this? Why don't they do any of this shit? It was at the midfield, Ginola was he reminded me of Dembele, the way he could hold players off, dribble through them, 2 steps ahead. It didn't matter 1-2 pressing him, he could get through both of them. It was really wowzers. And then on the wing, it was something else. He was just and I just wonder, are those, and Saf and I were talking about this, are those players kind of getting regimented out? Brennan Johnson, could he be a good winger? Or maybe he's just the system. He's been so systemized. That's not a word. So rigored. I don't I think you know what I'm trying to say. Has he been worked too regimented through a kick, push, pass thing?
Yeah. I personally profile Brennan Johnson as a technical stand-up, beat the kind of player where he's good in tight spaces like Ginola was. I think Ginola kind of glides with the ball. He's got a different type of dribble technique, whereas I think
but even Bale was very direct and very explosive.
Yeah,
so it's what happened to that kind of, he could be explosive, right? By all accounts.
Yes, definitely. But I just think in terms of because mentality's got a lot to do with it as well. Because for me, if you get the ball, and you know what, with Bale, he was actually a good dribbler as well. But as he got older, he used his strength and his power and his pace to beat players, as opposed to his dribble technique. Because when he was at Southampton, he first came to us as a left back, the ball used to stick to him like glue. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was remember looking at him at Southampton, I was Rob, this Bale guy, he looks really good technically. Do you know what I mean? But going back to Ginola, I felt like Ginola profiles a mixture between a winger and a midfielder, like a number 8, if that makes sense, or an attacking mid. He's in between the two of them. And I'm not saying he's anything like Eze, but Eze is a winger, but he doesn't hug the touchline. He kind of floats inside.
Yeah. But doesn't Son kind of do that for us?
Son's meant to profile like that, where he's not an out-and-out hug touchline type of winger. He's more of a winger that drifts inside and finds the space and runs onto things and can dribble as well. Because I remember against Ipswich, there was a point where he kind of got the ball on the edge of the box and he weaved his way into the box between 4 or 5 Ipswich players and he got his shot off. But we just need to see that on a consistent basis where fans will be like, okay, that's what Son does. Do you know what I mean? And I think Son's at his best. Everyone knows when he's 1v1 with a keeper, like his finishing prowess is next to none. It's really good. But it's like we don't have enough technical players, in my opinion, on the wings where they kind of like, I feel like Werner and Johnson and Son are really good when they run onto things compared to like a winger that the ball kind of sticks to his foot like a Ginola. He kind of like just can weave his magic, can beat 2 or 3 players just by, dropping a shoulder, just being really dynamic on the ball, agility wise, and it's got a good football technical base. Do you know what I mean?
I see Perchy's been talking. There's some discussion going on about Brian Hill. I mean, could it be said that we had a technical player that we just didn't want? And maybe that's not the kind of winger that Ainge. I don't know. Like, I'd never really rated Hill, and at least from what I saw 1, maybe 2 good dribbles his entire career here. But outside of that, I was really never impressed. Maybe it's because of the like hype that came around, but I don't know. Well, what's your take on that? Because I somewhat agree. Son, as much as I love him, he's never even been that kind of like techie dribbler. He's been kind of a reactive, go around you, through you kind of guy, and or make a run in behind and get fed the ball kind of a thing. And he's fantastic at finishing. So it's like, outside of, I don't know if we got those kind of techie wingers that you're talking about, if we had, but that's why I was kind of excited when I saw a little bit of Odebear. I felt like he's like, okay, ball at my feet, I'm gonna try to do something. Then he got hurt immediately, and the kid's never been hurt in his life until he comes to Tottenham. I don't get it.
It's the demands, isn't it, on those hamstrings, the way we press with intent. It's a lot of running compared to other teams.
Big up, Leo.
But I just think, like, in terms of, I don't know, like Brian Hill, for me, decision making was his downfall at times, where I was like, I had so much hope for him because he was a technical player, but he wouldn't always take his man on. Like, if he took his man on frequently, and even if he lost it, I'd be like, right, at least he's trying to take his man on. There'll be times when he would try to take his man on, and then he will kind of go back on himself, like he was lacking a bit of confidence. Not to mention also, like we've said it already, about his upper body strength, his physicality kind of lacked in the Premiership. If you're going to play in the Premiership, you need a little bit of physicality to survive in this type of league. Do you know what I mean? But I do miss real technicians. Like, for me, if you've got it's a different profile. It's something that, like, Ange wants to change tact. Things aren't working well with a Johnson and a Son. It would be nice to bring on 2 different players that offer something slightly different, as opposed to just running in behind or being a threat in that sense. So, yeah, I think that's something that we should look potentially in the transfer window. Now that they're saying, Odegaard might not be back till possibly the end of February. Do you know what I mean?
Wouldn't it be like this club, though, to just say, well, we've got Yang Min Yuk coming in? I'd be a little afraid of that. I don't want that to happen, but I hope that in January we go do some business. But all the links I've seen is like Jonathan Tah, and am I missing one? That was like the only seeming legitimate sort of, because he's like on the end of his contract and he's going to be free, and we're going to definitely flirt with that. But I just...
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know at this point what winger. Like, I've always said who I wanted over Brennan Johnson, but like, it doesn't really matter what I say. In the end of the day, they're gonna fucking pick somebody. What is the kind of winger that you think could help? I just need some motherfuckers to finish. That's really my problem. These motherfuckers don't want to finish. Brennan Johnson could have had a brace in 13 minutes versus Ipswich.
Like, I think, like, a player with good core strength. So, like, when I tell you about core strength, I mean the physicality, so players can bounce off him. A bit like when players try to challenge Kulu, you see he's got the strength where players just, even if they try to get the ball off him, they can't get it off him because he's so physically demanding. and then a sharp burst of like acceleration into space. I think that's important for a winger to create like separation between him and his man, a bit like what Brighton's wingers have. Someone that can do like body fakes so they can get away from pressure, and it shows a bit of unpredictability about them, about their play. So you don't know if they can go on the inside or if they're going to go on the outside. So technically they're good on left foot or on their right foot. So they can underlap or they can overlap. They can either go on the outside and cross a ball, or they can go on the inside and finish their chance. Do you know what I mean? And I just think like also work rate, someone that's just got a lot of work rate. But like you said, finishing, someone that's in front of goal and they want to shoot. Do you know what I mean? And even if it doesn't go in, they still got the mentality and the character inside them that think, all right, I missed that chance, but my next one is going to go in. Do you know what I mean? They've got that kind of big ego, a bit of an aura about them. There's a few players, man. Like obviously we've been linked with Semenyo. Whether we get him is a different story, but Semenyo, I think they had to renew his contract. Bournemouth had to renew it because I think he was available for something silly like 15 or 20 million. So they quickly put him in a pre-contract, and I think he can go for like 35 to 40 million. So I wouldn't be mad if Semenyo came in. I think in Bremo, he's a different type of striker. He's more of he's more of a wide forward more than a winger. But again, someone that scores goals. We need more goals from that right-hand side to complement a Solanke. Imagine just having a Solanke competent player, but on the right-hand side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and just for me, I do like Semenyo. I've liked him for a few years, and I felt like when Bournemouth first came up, and that first year where they finished 10th, I think it was, when they first came up, it was like, I don't even think Dom Solanke scored a lot in that season. But for me, I just think you have a target man that kind of pulls that pressure. It allows the likes of Brian Mbeumo, Semenyo to really have a lot of space to operate. Really, honestly, anytime I've seen Brian Mbeumo, I just say, wow, I think he would be good on this team. I think he would start in this team. I see Semenyo, I see the same thing. And, you know, I've been wrong before, even though I stand by and I stand on business when I rated Adama Traore at that window when we should have got him, in which we didn't. And then he ended up going to Fartalonia, and then we never got him. And then at that point, it was over. But you know what? He's been beasting for Fulham, and everybody's sleeping on Adama. Any hope Adama comes in January?
I don't think so. I think he's going to stay at Fulham. But as a wing back, like if we played a wing back system, I think.
Hey, there was once a winger that I love who played for Fulham, and then Tottenham signed him for just 1 year, just one quick little year. That'd be nice. You know who that was, Ash?
Who was that Fulham winger? Tell me.
Deuce, baby, from Nacogdoches, Texas. My very own brethren, Clint Dempsey.
Dempsey. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dempsey had a little bit about him, man. He was about that life. But
did you know he was he finished in the top 5 for goals that year for Fulham? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
An American man out there in the UK eating tea and crumpets. Come on now.
We took a few players from Fulham, man. Fulham was like our little feeder club, man. We took Parker. We took we took Dembele from them as well. Who else? I saw we took someone else from them, but we've taken a few players over the seasons from Fulham. But there's a player I like who many people might not know of, but I watched him again recently because Leo played in the Champions League, and he also played the wing. But a lot of people have been talking about Gomez, who Levy's trying to negotiate for because his English player is free, so he's trying to do a pre-deal. Anyway, I digress. His name's Zagrova. I think this guy is, because everyone talk about Cherokee from Lyon. Obviously, they've been dot points. They might be
Turkey? Yeah. Cherki.
Yeah, I profile Turkey more as a midfielder, as a 10, more than a winger, because he likes to cut inside a lot and he's mad tricky. Do you know what I mean? He's not a player that goes on the outside as much as the player I'm looking at called Zagrova. He, for me, if you check him out, just guys in the comments, check him out. Plays for Leo. I think he's quality. I was talking to my friend, he's a Juventus fan, And he was like, "Did you see him?" We were watching like the Champions League game, and was like, "Wow, this guy he's a dope player." If you want flair, if you want a man to beat a man, if you want a guy,
You know who I want?
who do you want?
The next Egyptian king, the man in line for the Egyptian throne.
Oh,
Mamushki Guguski. Mamushki. I need. Bro, he's a beast, and we were linked with him last year, if I'm not mistaken, and we were just like, nah, and now he's fucking killing it. I don't think we get him anymore, but I would love a Marmoushi.
Yeah, Mamouche, like Liverpool, Liverpool all over him. So he might be the Salah replacement that they're looking for. So Mamouche.
Yeah, but he's like he likes the left or central. He doesn't like the right.
No, he doesn't. But that's why I'm talking about these players. Semenyo is on the
they're already
right.
saying I can't have.
Semenyo's on the right. Mbremo's on the right. Zeragova's on the right. But all the other players you're thinking of are on the left, like your Matomas, your Eze's, like they're all on the left. Even Gittins, Jamie Gittins from Borussia Dortmund, who's having a great season as well. Young kid, he's also on the left as well.
You know who else I really like that Leeds, and this is less in the winger aspect, but when he played for Leeds, Jorginho Ruder, and now he's for Brighton, and he's balling, and they're putting him in this central free role almost where he can drift left, right, central, but he used to be a striker, and at Leeds they started dropping him behind Perot, and they're doing Perot and Ruder, and it was really something. And Ruder was the engine in that. And when he went to Brighton, I was like, of course, watch, now he's gonna ball and everyone's gonna be like, Brighton did it again. And it's just like, a player like that's dynamic, that can suit multiple roles, I think. But does that really work in an Ange Postecoglou system? Like, we don't really operate with your standard 10. Well, we kind of operate with 6, 8s, 10s. That's all like having a big conglomerate glued together, and it's all one.
It's funny you should say that, because when I looked at the game we lost, and there's 2 games we've lost, and he's tried it twice. And I think ever since the Brighton game, he's been trying it. And I think it was down to the availability of Richarlison and Werner. Because what I saw was actually he played 4 forwards. So sometimes some people call it a 4-4-2. I called it a 4-2-4. And that's what Brighton do. They do a 4-2-4 where they play 4 forwards in an advanced position, which allows players like Welbeck and Rutter to be like, they're 2 strikers, but sometimes they kind of turn into 2 8s or 2 10s because they drop into the kind of hole, into the outside of the area. They drop off the 2 centre backs to receive the ball and allow the other 2 wingers to push on beyond them. Do you know what I mean? And turn into like wide forwards from the other angle, meaning Matoma and Mente, they kind of attack the wings, but they go into the box, if that makes sense. So they become So that's
what about Fatawu from Leicester? He was fucking up Destiny.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'm seeing Ange, since that game, I saw Ange try to throw 4 forwards on, technically, because he had Werner on one wing, Johnson on the other wing, and then he had Richarlison and he had Solanke. So technically that's a 4 up front. And I think he's tried to do that again, even though Richarlison wasn't there in the last game. But I feel like he's tried to do that. Was remember, because Son was on. And against Ipswich, it was Son. So Werner on the left, Son, Solanke, and then Johnson was on the right. So that was 4. But he doesn't have the same, players as what Hassler does at Brighton. Do you know what I mean? But had he had different profiles, I think that kind of style that he was trying to adopt might have worked, because Brighton's system and Ange's system, they both operate with high lines. They both like
intense press.
Intense press, exactly. Very, very similar in terms of how many bodies they commit forwards. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do think what you just said about Rutter, he might try to employ that if he had the players at his disposal. Unfortunately, he hasn't, and I think that's why I felt that was the wrong decision. I thought Maddison should have come on, even though Werner, for me, didn't have a stinker against Ipswich when he came on. I thought he took his man on, at least, tried to fire.
I felt like it was indictment that he was our most creative fucking dude swinging crosses in the box, and they were good crosses. I was like, damn, that's a good ball.
This is it. I remember like looking at Brighton.
I always said Timo give you 15 minutes of good stuff. It's just that 15 minutes of changing. Like he's just but it's when you go 45, 50, 60 minutes of fucking Timo, you're like, I really think a lot of my new gray hairs are due to Timo Werner. Doing watch-alongs, watching Timo at home. I'm holding my son, and Timo, I'm just like, Timo. And I'm like squeezing my son. He's like, Daddy.
Flipping Nemo. Find him. Can't find a net, though. But yeah, Timo,
But I think
it's finishing. That's what it is. It's the finishing, and sometimes it's delivery.
So why can't Son get into those same spaces? Because I find it weird how like we find Timo Werner just no one marking him on. Is it because no one pays him respect? Is it like you let an open shooter shoot because they're shit at shooting, kind of a thing?
I think his understanding of space is because it's Werner, people kind of sleep on it. So he has got some football IQ. It's just when it comes to the finishing school, he needs to go back there. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't quite graduated from finishing school. Confidence is gone as well. So in front of goal, unless it's on a plate for him, and even then, sometimes he still misses it. When he's got too much time to think, you see the worst of Werner. I said the worst. But yeah, with Son,
Bratwurst and Werner?
I think with Son, I think explosiveness compared to maybe Werner. I think that's why Werner can get away because he's so explosive from his marker. Do you know what I mean? But I think Son works well when he's instinctive. Do you know what I mean? When he's instinctive, hasn't got time to think about something, you see the best of Son and you see him pull out some magic. But when he's got time to think about it and his body's in front of him, in the low block, you're not going to see the best of Son. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you make life simple for Werner as well, you see the best of Werner. So we've got quite a few players like that. I think the same with Johnson. If you simplify the game for Johnson, don't give him too many touches. Say, Johnson, just arrive in that back post. Johnson, see that like right now, that pitch geography, I need you to be in this particular area. But when it comes for players to think for themselves, like to kind of use their imagination to be a bit more creative, sometimes I feel like these players struggle in those moments. Am I making sense? That's what it is for me personally. And I think that's why.
I mean, you mentioned Brennan Johnson, and my mind drifted to. I saw a YouTube video from like BBC or whatever the people are who enter Optus or something, and the quote was Brennan Johnson saying that he strongly. Wait, I'll even pull up my history. I probably can't play it. They'll probably fucking get on my neck about it. Hang on, where is it? I have it somewhere. It's like. There it is. So Brennan Johnson said, "I'm really confident we can get a trophy this season." That's like the quote they took from it. And it came out yesterday, I think. Okay. BBC Sport. So, you know, he feels confident, but I feel like they filmed this interview when he was like 7 of 7 because they opened the interview with like, Johnson, it's a beautiful, lovely time to be talking with you, Mr. Brennan Johnson, because everyone's talking about you, Mr. Brennan Johnson. And he's like, yeah, it is a very good time for me. I'm doing very good. I really love myself for here. It's very good. And they're like, yeah. But then I'm like, it's been 4 or 5 matches now that he's gone without a goal. So I'm starting to get concerned. Is he a purple patch merchant, or were we unlocking him and now it's locked again? This is my theory, little tinfoil hat for you here, Ash. No Instagram goals. Instagram, no goals. It's a very simple soup, but chicken noodle soup heals the soul. Chicken noodle soup will heal motherfucker ailing from just about anything. And maybe that's the simple remedy. Just go back to deleting your Instagram, my G. I don't know. But he turns it back on, and he hasn't scored since.
Problem with Johnson, you're right. I mean, he just needs to get his head down and just focus on his game and simplify things. Like I said before, I just think the problem with Johnson is sometimes if he doesn't score a goal, or even if he does score a goal, it's like, what else can you offer? Or what else? You know what I mean? And he's that type of player where sometimes when he's in space, he kind of just gets his head down and smashes it across the box. When actually, sometimes it's better to kind of get your head up, look who's around, you might be able to pick a better option. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I haven't seen Brennan Johnson get to the byline and do a cutback for ages. I always see him get to that kind of final zone and then smash the ball across the 6-yard box, because obviously, as we were saying before at the start, system. Do you know what I mean? We need you to think for yourself, be a man, be a character. And if you make a mistake, you own it, but you keep going. Like, why are we being so shy? Why are we being timid? Just be you, be yourself, and people will like you for it. As long as you're hardworking, you get back and you're protecting your fullback in Porro, you're helping out Romero or Jackson, whoever's at that right centre-back role, you're doing your job. Literally, but
So Billy's right. I was wrong. He did score versus Villa. He did score. I just forgot about it, I guess. Was he the last one to score? No, that was Madison's free kick.
Yeah,
he was the first one to score.
Yeah.
It was right after halftime, because it looked like we had a kind of a poopy half. Morgan Rogers, I'd made fun of his name in the pre-match show. This is my problem. I make fun of names like a silly kid in the playground. I'm like, who's Mr. Rogers? Better bring your sweater. And this motherfucker was cooking us for about 45 minutes. And then now I'm not going to disrespect his name again, and it's like, when I do that, they do good against us. I just really got to stop it. But I'm remembering now, and we came out in the second half and we actually looked like a team that wanted to play, and he scored a goal and got us going.
I like him, man. I like Morgan Rogers. He does the same celebration as Palmer. Apparently, he said Palmer stole his celebration, not the other way around, and that's why he keeps on doing it. Because
history remembers Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Edison, and not the actual dudes who figured the shit out. They remember the dudes who were the loudest, most braggadocious, and at that time specifically, the least amount of melanin. Is that right? Is that the right phrasing? But we all know who actually invented the telephone, who actually invented the light bulb. We know. History books aren't lying anymore. Or excuse me, Google doesn't lie.
Yeah, you're right, man. We know who the real inventors are. But yeah, man, I just think it's annoying sometimes, because I know obviously Kulu does it for us. He's that kind of ball carrier. But you remember, like, against Ipswich, Hutchison, how techie was he on the ball? Like,
bro, he was cooking us. And I even said that. You were on the pre-show match with us, right? When it was us and there was no Kate or Jim, and we were like, men, we're all men here, man. It was a great show. And I was saying, I was like, now Morgan Rogers cooked us. That kind of free 10 roll, Jorginho Ruder cooked us. I'm like, this free 10 roll is kind of a little bit scary for me. Amari Hutchison is a good player. I've seen him play for Jamaica, I believe it is. And so, like, I didn't think he was like that good. Same thing with Morgan Rogers. Same thing with everyone in that free 10 roll. It's like we allow them so much freedom to just do what they want. And if they gallop like a lone Mustang in the Utah, fuck it, I'm fucking up the metaphor, but we allow them so much space. Amari Hutchison was absolutely frying us 2 ways from side. Who's that for City? Who's that guy that's going to be that free roll for them, you think, that's going to be?
Possibly Foden. Possibly Phil
Foden, yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Silva. Possibly Bernardo Silva. If they wanted to come on. Like, they've got a couple players that are kind of floaty that can just run with it. I think they're going to look for players that are going to hold on to the ball very, very well. And Grealish doesn't give the ball away that much. He's quite good. Even though I do remember when a certain Emerson Royale stepped up against Grealish. That was a great game. Had him on a leash. But yeah,
I love the memes after that game. Emerson Royale, for all his non-footballing qualities, he just seems like a fucking dude. Like, I hope everything goes well for you in life, buddy.
Apparently, the AC Milan fans hate him, but
of course they gave him 22. What do you expect?
You know what? You know what's funny about the whole Emerson Royale thing? He was terrible going forward, or I wouldn't say terrible. I'd say limited. He didn't offer much going forward. But defensively, as a right back, compared to what Porro is at the moment, he offers something different in terms of, like, when we don't have the ball. I'm thinking, would Romero look as exposed if Emerson Royale was there? I don't know. I'm just saying. I know with the ball, he stank it up. He really did. But I'm just saying, a different profile to Porro defensively might help us, because how City do it, they invert Lewis, so they have a 3-2-5. When Spurs play, so I feel like we play with a 2-1-7. I feel like that's how we play, and it makes us ultra open I wouldn't mind one of the fullbacks sitting back in a different profile and protecting like a Basuma. So there's two defensive midfielders. Do you know what I mean? The right back converted, a bit like, I don't know, not Trent. Trent's not a defensive mid, but do you know what I mean? Like a player to add protection. And I don't think we have that. I don't think what all of our fullbacks, they're all attacking. Do you know what I mean? Just to mix things up.
Yeah, that's fair. So I was looking at it because I spoke on Brennan saying now it's been, what, 5 matches since he hasn't scored. But that was wrong because he did score versus Villa. But he went 7-7, and then in the next 7, it was 1.
Yeah.
So I can't say completely convinced me with that run, but this is adding fuel to the fire of doubt in the sense that maybe it was just a purple patch and we haven't unlocked him. And I never really thought we were going to unlock. The whole time I was like, this is great. Just keep doing it. But like, how many goals does he need to score for me or anyone else to think that he's a good winger, that he can actually be like a legitimate starting right winger? Because as far as I'm concerned, if we go into January and we look to upgrade, I know he's slapped about 18 players on our pitch. Mohamed Kudus is a fantastic winger. I miss that kind of a winger at this club that's like direct and versatile. You can play him in multiple roles, and it's like he can flourish there. I don't know. But any one of that ilk, I'm definitely down for. Obviously, it's not going to be Kudus. There's no way you sign that guy in January after he was slapping us in October. That motherfucker. But anyway, Ash, you know specifically because over a year ago, I was like, get me Kudus. Then he went to West Ham, and then you kept saying, Jake. I remember you said for about 2 different streams, you said, Jacob, you have to get over it. It's getting silly now. Like, why? And I was just like, why didn't we sign him 45 million for that kind of a player? But again, it bodes the question, like, do we even want that kind of a winger in this squad anymore? That is like, I do, but I don't know.
It's the history of Tottenham, you know. But you know what? It's funny. Because look, Odegaard's injured, and he is that type of profile. Whether people think he's good enough or he's great, we don't know because we just haven't seen enough of him. But from what I did see of him, he was more of a player that, as I said, close control, takes his man on. Do you know what I mean? The crosses were a bit raw, to be fair. When he did cross the ball, it was a bit, heavy-footed. But I felt like Odegaard's stronger on his left, on the left-hand side. I know he was there on the right a lot to add competition to Brendan Johnson. So I still think that type of, because remember, if you deep it, Jacob, if you actually think about it, Solomon was a different type of winger to Brennan Johnson, Werner, and Son. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we are looking for that type of winger that's a bit more dribbly, if that's a word, a bit more technical. We got rid of Solomon while he's on loan, but technically we got rid of him this season, and we bought an Odegaard. So I'm thinking Odegaard's injured. And Brian Hill's out. Do we find another similar dribbly type of winger?
For me, hail no. Not only no, but hail no to Maynor. Hail no for me. Fuck that. I'd rather stick with an.
I'm not saying bring him in. I was making the comparison because he's a different.
Yeah, he is.
On Werner, I'm not saying we want him. I want him back, but I'm saying was the club.
But without Odegaard coming in as that different kind of winger that offers something, I felt like my hope was that Mikey Moore was going to show some of that because he seemed kind of really willing and stuff. But then he kind of was getting bullied around a little bit, and I'm drawing back my expectations. He's still very, very young and raw, but no, we don't have that kind of different winger that's healthy, at least at this point. So, fixing that in January is one thing, but it doesn't solve our fucking issue going into City this weekend, Ash. And we're almost at an hour and a half, and I've yet to really compile a real complete list here for our starting 11. But right now, what I'm for sure on is Son, Solanke, Brennan Johnson in the front. Do you have any disputes there?
What I think we should go with, or what you think, Ange will play? Is this the team you think line up with?
I kind of go with what I think is going to happen, and then just talk about what I want or what I would do.
Okay, cool. Let's go with that.
So this is what I think it will be. What do you think? Do you think I will be correct with this, and why would you change it?
I just really like the performances when we were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I thought that really worked well. And I feel like Solanke and Son, I think them as a front two, and maybe playing to our strengths and adding another midfielder. So maybe
kind of like we did versus them last year.
Yeah, I think.
But we lost 2-0 and we had more of the ball. So like what you're suggesting would lead my amateur mind to say maybe that leads to more of the ball, but it wasn't successful last time. I don't know.
I want more of the ball. That's the difference. I think the difference would be is that we pretty much still sit off them and hit them on a counter attack. So I'm looking at it like Solanke as almost like a Kane regen, where he gets the ball, picks it up, the ball sticks to him, and then Son runs off of him, if that makes sense. Because you remember right, Son had a 1v1. But because all the Spurs fans were booing, like, no, don't score. Like, I honestly feel like he was conflicted. And he just kind of
if there's any doubt in your mind when you're on the battlefield, that means something wrong is going on with the support behind you, in my opinion. And again, this goes back to the point, like you could say, oh, well, this and that about Arsenal winning the league or whatever. And like, I sympathize with a lot of that because I did feel that way in the beginning, but it was like, how can you genuinely want him to miss in that moment? I don't know. I wish he converted that personally because I wanted to win that game. I wanted Ainge to get another.
The stadium went quiet when it happened. I remember it like yesterday. The stadium went quiet. Everyone held their breath. And I felt like Spurs fans, some were conflicted and some were like, I want him to score. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels weird to go against your team. You can't, like, as much as you might hate another team, you still want your team to win and score goals. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what happened in the stadium at the moment. But going back to my point, you see that chance there? It can work. It makes sense. And we never had a Solanke in that situation. So
no, that's true.
To do more of that type of put Son in that kind of circumstance or in that scenario, could he score 1 or 2 goals? But again, I'm not mad if we go for the tried and tested way that we've been playing. But the way Ange kind of left things, he was like, that loss for Ipswich was on me. And I need to go look at something that I maybe need to change. So I'm just wondering if he's going to switch things up coming into this game. Because
he's shown that he'll change it up for City too. That's true.
Yeah, so maybe I'm reading too much into it. But going back into this, I think it will be Solanke, Son on the left, Johnson on the right, Vicario on goal. The doggy's fit, so he will play. And I think the next position, which is easy to mention, would be the right back. I don't know if you want to go over that next.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be Porro.
Yeah.
But for me, I think there's an argument to be made for either left back or right back to be benched to give Jed Spence a chance. Is there any of that in your opinion? I think it's going to be Porro, so I'm going to go ahead and put Pedro Porro on here. But for me, defensively, he's been shocking. Destiny can't seem to close a cross down. No one wants to close a fucking cross ever. They just say, let me watch that. Let me see how you kick that fucker. And they just watch it. And that really, like, as a keeper, I've always hated when my fullbacks fucking watch a cross. The best way to defend a cross is to not let it fucking happen. And I don't know. Maybe that's just me being angry goalkeeper, but I just always get so pissed off when it's like cross after cross after cross after cross. And I know eventually one of them crosses are going to lead to a conversion. And I feel like Porro and Destiny have both let me down in that sense of defensively. Like, I don't know. So I would definitely be okay with Jed Spence starting either.
I think what's happened a lot of the times is against lower teams or the goals we've conceded always at the back post, not just lower teams, but I think it's when we have the ball, and we've spoken about the times when we've had a lot of possession, you know what I'm saying? This time we're not going to have a lot of possession. And the reason why I say a lot of possession is because when we push high up, the fullbacks are a lot higher up. So then when we lose the ball, they're out of position, shall I say. And because they're out of position, they're always running back to get onside, to create that back four. And so the distances are slightly off. And that's why the doggy's not close enough to stop that cross going in, goes to the back post, Porro's nowhere near it. Or if he is near it, he's not set and he's not ready. So do
you think that the high line, like a symptom of the high line, could be that the fullbacks allow more crosses and service into the box?
Correct.
Huh.
And I think that's
before you joined the show, when I was just shouting you out, I said, anytime I have a conversation about football with Ash, I feel like he's the cool substitute at school who can actually teach me as opposed to the boring teachers I'm used to. So that's why I always say, make sure you subscribe to Spurs King TV. Make sure you do subscribe to ASHMATIC. It's in the title. It's in the description. And honestly, you want to fucking learn something, like you're talking and it's like the pieces of I feel like, what's his name? Nicolas Cage in the Da Vinci Code. I'm like, the pages are falling off the book now for me. So thank you, Ash. Like that. So
and that's what
you know what it sounds like? It's like me eating Oreos, and I love Oreos, and they say those Oreos are bad for you. And now I'm like, why are my fullbacks so floppy, i.e. the love handles? Well, it's because I've been enjoying myself some cookies. Is that a fair assessment?
This is what Ange has to figure out. And that's why I go back to that point when he said, you know what, the loss was on me, and it's something I need to go away and have a look at or figure out. Do you know
he also said the inconsistencies were on him as well.
Exactly. So, and because like a lot of the fan base have picked up on that right-hand side, goals have been coming from Porro's side each and every time, and your dog has been a symptom of it. Like, to be fair, there has been some excuses, because the excuse is that there's been individual errors as well. Like against Brighton, a doggy miskicks the ball, but before he miskicks the ball, Van der Ven is slightly out of position, and the doggy expects Van der Ven to sweep it up, but doesn't quite get there, and that's why he misses it, and then that's why it goes into the back post and Mente scores. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's down to the systematic positioning. You know, where are our players meant to be? What's happening? And I honestly think, because a lot of people have been crying out for a double pivot. Why? Why are people crying out for the double pivot? Now,
because they heard ASHMATIC talk about it.
No, I personally think when you've got a lone six, you're asking your lone six or your defensive midfielder in, let's say, Bentancur, and who's now banned. At the time, he had to cover. He had to cover Porro and a doggy when they're out of position. Do you know what I mean? Meaning he's central, but he's got to cover the right-hand side if the ball's gone to the right, or he's got to go to the left-hand side if the ball breaks to the left. And then sometimes that center is left open. Am I making sense? So he's got a job where he's got to sweep as a DM. That kind of, he's got to do a lot of recovery running, is what I'm saying. He's got to do a lot of recovery running where he fills in for the fullback. Now, if you've got two DMs or two sixes, let's say it's two sixes, right? Then one of the sixes can cover the left back if the left back pushes high up. And then the secondary six can cover the right back if the right back pushes up, which gives you more pitch coverage when we're out of position. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's the reason. But then you need players that have legs or have engines that when we do lose the ball, they're able to get back and help their fullbacks or the centre backs. Because remember, we played with
Rodrigo was decent at that for a little bit of time there too.
Yeah, but remember, you've got to remember, we've asked Bentancur to do that, who's come back from an ACL. Do you know what I'm saying? So his mobility isn't quite the same as a Rodri. Do you know what I mean? And so sometimes he would get caught out and everyone's like, oh, Bentancur, is he a 6? I think he's better in an 8, blah, blah, blah. I know you don't subscribe to that because, like we said, you want a midfielder, or Ange says he wants a midfielder that can do.
I just based that thought process on what the manager literally said when he is answering the question about if he wants a 6, an 8, or a 10 in the market. He's like, I want a midfielder who could do all three. If you've seen my midfielders, all three of them do that. And I think that's where that little tiff, there's obviously some friction. So I heavily combated the Football Insider, even though he barely know her, talking about my senior sources say, well, Jacob has senior sources. You know what my senior sources say? Football Insider's full of shit. How about that? Their sources are dickhead pussies. How about that? That's what my senior sources say. And so anyone can just fucking fabricate whatever the fuck during an international break. And it pisses me off to high heaven. And I used to work in the media, so I was a part of the fucking problem. And I saw it from the underbelly, from inside the mechanical rhino. I've seen how it operates, and I don't like it. And I see them do their games and their tricks to Ainge, and he gets called out, and fans are upset about X, Y, or Z. And you know, fair is fair, but again, that whole notion of a midfielder in this system, 6, 8, 10 is irrelevant. They got to do all of them, but there is one of them out of the three that's primarily like what you were saying with Bentancur, that lone 6 almost that has to drift left or right depending who's, I guess, out of position more. But there's even times where that right-sided center back in Kuti will be kind of drifting up and he drops back into that second center back spot. So it's like, it's always just a fluid system. And, you know, Kuva and I used to joke about when we do these, and then I would just, these lineups, and then I would just kind of take, all right, yeah, Poro kind of be up here, Johnson be over here. And you even talked about it yesterday on your show of the elusive 2-1-7. It's a fun little formation, the 2-1-7, if you've never seen it. But I think genuinely, senior source, fabricated story, bullshit aside, there's clearly a issue with Maddison, his performance, his attitude, or whatever it is with Ange Postecoglou. The man sulking on the bench as he gets off of the pitch. We put up 4, and the man can't even smile. Man's acting like he's being drugged to a funeral. And how is that supposed to fucking be my vice captain? He can't even celebrate when we win in just because his bitch ass wasn't contributing.
Do you remember when Son got taken off, though? Just a small caveat. When Son got taken off, he was not
He
happy.
did the who me?
Me?
Who me? Me? Oh, you said number 7? Is there another number you talking about? Me?
You don't know what it was, Ashton Kutcher. You've been punked. That's what you
Yeah, bro. The photo of like the little cartoon duck that's all sad, like I love that, like the visual. It was very because I was like, me? But you know, go ahead, continue your point. Sorry, I just remember that as well.
I'm just saying, like, no player likes to be taken off. Like, I remember, like, it was Cole Palmer. He was on the red carpet, and it was for a movie premiere.
But was Son sulking on the bench after? Like, I understand in the moment being like, "What the fuck?" Being angry as you come off. I'm fine with all that. I love a competitive spirit. Last year when Bentancur was having a shit half, he got pulled real early. He kicks a chair. Like, I thought it was childish, but that's some shit that I would do because I'm a fierce competitor when I'm in the battle. So I respect the fuck out of it. And so I'm fine with him being like, me, what the fuck, you know, questioning, and not every competitor should be like that. But at the latter stages of the match, he's standing up off the bench, he's animated, he's spurring us on, if you will. Whereas Maddison has a fucking jacket over himself. He looks like me when I go on rival channels after we lose to Crystal Palace or Ipswich. A fucking robe, ski mask. You just see this, and it's like, ugh, he looks angry. You know, like, how are you supposed to be my fucking leader when you act like a bitch?
I mean, it's hard. Look, I don't know. When Ange loses a game and, you know, the what's it called, media asking questions, he's mad prickly. He's not a good loser. I'll be real. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Maddison, I think he's got a bit of an ego. I'll be real. And you should. Like, if you're that player and you're number 10, you are, I am him. Do you understand? He's got that type of vibe about him. And if he gets taken off,
so prove you're him, bro.
But I think he might be mad at himself as well as, you know, the powers that be.
So he's been sulking since he didn't get picked for the Euros. Is that what we're saying? Well, because he's been bro. Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you. I'm such a shit host.
No. I was gonna say when Ange, they asked him should he be getting picked for the England squad? He goes, mate, you don't get picked to the England squad by scoring a free kick, mate. And walked off. I said, ooh, Ange, salty, ouch. That's meant to be your guy, like, you know, meant to be protecting your players. So, like, I can't criticize, you know, Maddison for one thing, and then Ange is moving a bit. So
wait, you're saying so the run that back by me again one more time.
So like one of the media brothers, one of the journals was like,
Yeah.
look, you know, why do you think Madison's not getting into the England squad? And he's gone, raw. Look, you don't get into the England squad by banging a free kick. Pow, pow, how you like me now?
Hey, cook that fraud, bro. Cook him. Because what the fuck has he done? You're supposed, bro. I'm telling you, and maybe this is a little bit of my own bias coming out because last year I bought the hype. I believed the hype. I bought a ticket to Ja Rule Fire fucking music festival and showing up to the island. I'm like, where are you, James? I bought a ticket. I'm here, and there's nobody here. And I believed the hype, and then I even believed the just wait till he comes back from injury. He's gonna look more like his old self. But you know, like I still think you like there's protecting players, but then there's guys who are like Son doesn't need to be protected, Romero doesn't need to be protected, and Madison doesn't need it. Y'all are the fucking trio, and now I guess Vicario's a part of this leadership group. Like that is the problem. For me, I fucking hated our leadership group before of Hugo, Eric, and Kane and Doherty and shit. What in the fuck? Golf club, khaki wearing, fucking sunscreen ass leadership group did we build? And they got every manager sacked.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And I'm like, bro, if you we just made a new one. You killed the man, but not the idea, and then you helped fertilize the idea. And Paul, the Hotspur hippie, he did say like, I think this could be Ange's downfall is creating that leadership group. Which
going back to Madison, like real quick, if I can, I just think it's not a symptom of Madison being bad, in my opinion. I think it's a symptom of the Premier League is such like we really prioritize pace, power, and energy, and a little bit of technical ability. But those are the things you need to have to survive in the Premier League against your competitors, e.g. Crystal Palace. Like, look at Mikey Moore, right? As good as Mikey Moore is, and I'm a Mikey Moore fan, I think he suffered compared to what AZ was because Crystal Palace were a lot more physical. Do you understand? So when you got Mikey, mad dribbly, mad techie, he's coming against Shalaba. He's coming against what's his name? I forgot their names now. I saw it all in my head. Hughes. Let's say Hughes, for example. You're going against other physical Crystal Gray. You're going against Gray. You're going against Crossix, whatever his name is. It's different. Do you know what I mean? It's different. It's the different answers that he's got to come up with. He's got to be more explosive. He's got to be able to handle that physicality. AZ as a physical, they had more younger players, so that's why he looked so techie on that left-hand side, and it worked well. But I think the same with Madison. Madison, really good IQ, good at finding spaces, picking up, tries to link play. And I think when he's with Kulu and he's higher up the pitch, and you don't give him so much defensive responsibility, you see the best of Madison. However, when you come against a team that has a bit more physicality, that has a bit more running power, has a bit more energy, you see players like Madison kind of maybe not perform at their heights. So I think that's why you get Kulusevski, because Kulusevski has those attributes where he does have a good engine. He is a bit more physical. He does have more legs to cover the ground. He has more electric, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? As well as the technical ability to go with it. So that's why Kulu is getting ahead of Madison. And then Sarr is coming in because, again, he's got energy. He's got legs. He's got an engine. He's got physicality. And he covers a lot more ground than what a Madison was. And he will prioritize the responsibilities ahead of Madison, whereas Madison wants to drift higher up. And it's more of a luxury to have two kind of attacking players where Sarr might have more of a balance. And I think that's the only reason why Madison's not getting into the team. Because if you think about it, against Manchester United, I thought Madison played all right. Do you know what I'm saying? I thought he played decent.
So why did Ainge I don't mean when I get harsh on Madison, it's only because there's a certain level that now I'm holding you to. Like it's like the high jump, when you're doing like the Olympics or the fucking combine for any kind of a sport. They see when you jump, how high can you? I saw how high he could jump and hit the motherfucking thing. Same thing with Basuma. It's like I saw it, so give me that. Like my daughter, when she sees the fucking Roku remote, she sees it, she has to have it. So I'm if I don't give her the fucking Roku remote, all hell will break loose. So it's like that's what I've seen, and I want it. Dame now is kind of my mentality with it. So I just am really disappointed a lot with these players when I hold them. And the same thing is held to Cuti Romero. Like I hold him to a certain standard that he has failed to really hit consistently this year. There's been moments where he shows the Cuti that I love, and then there's other moments where he shows that he's he's acting like a bitch. And you know, someone in the comments earlier, it did make me laugh very early on in the show, said, "Oh, you need to stop falling in love with people who are paid to be here." And talking about Ainge and Cuti, and I was like, clearly you don't fucking watch my content because you haven't heard me say anything good about Cuti in weeks. So I don't know. But big up Eugene real quick. Vibes meeting analysis with the super chat. Yin yang of football. Big up Eugene. I don't know that I completely understand, but big up for the vibes analysis. There's a question here from Mark Cook for you, Ash. Says if Ainge won't play with a standard 6, do you think he should invert one of the fullbacks to less to cover? And I'll real quick weigh on this. I felt like in the beginning of the season we did see this, and there was moments last year where our 2 center backs were out, and Destiny came back and he was playing with Ben Davies and Dragusin, I think it was, or Emerson Royale, and the first game or two he was doing the same role, but then it was like clearly not working, and he had this word that he doesn't adapt and change, but he adapted and changed Destiny to invert less, push high up less, and even this season he seems to be closer to the byline. What do you think, Ash? Since the question was for you, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. I think the thing is that you have to look at the profile of the player, if that makes sense. And some players, they're switched on. Do you know what I mean? They can sense the danger, meaning their football IQ, they know when to step up, they know when to drop off. And it's meant to be, what it's meant to be, to ask this question, it's meant to be a 2-3-5. The 2-3-5 is meant to be the 2 centre backs, and then the 3 is meant to be, I don't know, the 6. I know you don't want me to say the 6, but the Sumo or Benzema. Oops.
How dare you?
I'll find you.
I will find you. I will hurt you. Wait, what was it? I have a particular set of skills, and I will find you. Good luck. Love that movie.
He's meant to have a 2 and a 3. So the 3 are meant to be Bentancur Basuma in the middle, and then either side is meant to be either Porro or a doggy in the 3. And what's meant to happen is they're meant to interchange. So when we saw Maddison drop into the 3, the doggy would then go into Maddison's position. That's what we were seeing last season. This season, slight change where now you're seeing a doggy, like you said, almost double up on the left-hand side. You're seeing Son and you're seeing a doggy there, but we're not quite seeing the same type of rest defense where we've got 4 to 5 players behind the ball. And the reason being is because more teams are showing respect to Spurs. So they're committing more bodies behind in central areas, and we're finding it harder to break them down. That's why we want to commit more players. Like what Brighton do a 2-0-7. Imagine that. They don't even have a holding midfielder. They have 2, 0, and 7. It's a madness. Do you know what I mean? They commit their whole no, 2, is it 2? 2, 2, 7? No, it's 3. I think it's sometimes it's a 3-7. Basically 10 outfield players, 3-7, and sometimes it's they go for 8 or 9 players, just all pushing up. It's crazy. But anyway, back to Spurs. I just think with Porro, I don't know if he has that same physicality as a doggy does, but then I'm not sure if a doggy's got the same concentration as what you need in that kind of position when we lose the ball to be attentive. So I think we need a different profile of player to invert. So if we're going into the January window, I would buy a fullback that has more defensive capabilities, that can play fullback, but that can also play as a 6 as well. Do you know what I mean? And I looked at one player that does suit that role, and he's from Feyenoord.
Gertruda?
Gertruda can play as a centre back, a right back. He primarily plays as a right back, but he can also play as a left back, and he can play as a DM. He can play in the 6. So if you had a Gertruda, if he was playing left back or he's playing right back, it doesn't matter, because he could invert alongside a Bentancur or a Bissouma and add extra protection. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. And even like centre backs can invert into a double pivot, but one of the fullbacks have to drop into centre back. So an example of that would be not Jonathan Tah, who we're linked with, but Tapsoba. Tapsoba would regularly drop into the defensive midfielder role. Stones does for Man City. Stones go alongside.
Yeah, that is true. Where he was like a center back, but he was like a 6. It was really, I do remember that a lot.
Now you understand what I'm saying, my broski. Get it,
bro. This is what it's about, man. Fucking growing like a bean plant. But speaking of growing like a bean plant, the stream's almost at 2 hours, Ash, and I have yet to fill out this starting 11. We did a lot of talk about that midfield, so I do want to round it out because I think the final 2 will kind of complete themselves. But you talked a lot about Kulusevski, Madison. I think Kulusevski starts no matter what. He's an engine, a tank. He's been our best player. I said that I felt like, you know, last year during international breaks, there's a lot of those team of the season so far, and last year I was really fighting hard during some of those international breaks for a lot of these players. But I remember it being talked about like, oh, you know, there was a content creator that wanted me to come on for one. And I was like, who would I even, like, does it even make sense to have a Tottenham rep out there fighting for anybody? And I was like, I wouldn't even fight for anyone except for maybe Kulu.
Yeah.
Because he's been the only one that's consistently. Now, I think his 2 worst matches, admittedly, were versus Palace and Ipswich. But for me, he's been kind of like the most, I don't know, consistent. But who do you think Ainge would go with in this midfield, and who would you go with? Because there's 2 more spots left. Bentancur is obviously banned. Bissouma left halftime with an injury versus Mali, so there's a question mark there. Sarr maybe. There was a tweet that I bookmarked yesterday. And it says, with all the rumored injuries, this will probably be the lineup. And it has Sarr and Gray as our 2 other midfielders with Madison. But I think it's going to be Kulu. I think it'll be Kulu. And even with the injuries, I don't think it'll be Sarr and Archie. I think it'd be more like Kulu, Madison, and Sarr is kind of what I'm thinking. My predicted. What do you think?
I'm going with Kulu, Sarr, Bissouma. Bissouma's got 2 goals and an assist in his international break so far. Well, so far it's over now, isn't it? But yeah, he's racked no, not 2 goals, it's 2 assists. Sorry, he's got 2 assists in his international break. He's been playing in Europa. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of him, but at the start of the season, you know, after he came back off the balloon drugs scandal, he ended up scoring against Everton.
I am not a clown. I am.
Bentancur obviously took over his spot, and he was playing in Europa afterwards. So I think Ange will give the not the armband, but the shirt to Bissouma. And so I think when Bissouma and Sarr play together, it's like big bro, little bro kind of thing. And
you're not worried about Bissouma leaving Mali halftime?
It's happened before, and he started. I remember one time we thought he was injured. He had a little foot something going on. He ended up making the team. You know what I mean? He didn't start, but he ended up making the team. He never. So,
because there's no way Archie Gray gets his first start in the 6
against
versus City away at City, or is it? Is it a matter of like throwing your fucking kids in the pool and let them fight to survive? I don't know.
I think Bissouma's been coming on as well. It's not like Bissouma hasn't been coming on. He's been coming on. Whether we win or lose, he's been coming on. If Gray had been coming on, there might be an argument. He's just been playing in Europa, and he's been playing as a fullback / centre back. He hasn't actually played in the actual 6. But
So you're saying Sarr and Basuma?
Yeah, I'm saying Sarr Basuma. I mean, if Archie Gray did play in the in that role, it'd be interesting. I just don't think he's got the physicality like a Sarr has. I think Sarr's got a slightly more physicality than him, and we're going to need that against City. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you know what else we need against City? Proper center backs. And it looks like it's going to be old Daddy Davies and Radusky Babuski. And we've gone there before with arguably worse in Emerson Royale and Ben Davies.
Mm-hmm. You think Emerson Royale has more legs? Not more legs, more speed than Dragusin? I'm not saying Dragusin's slow, but what do you think between the two of them?
I don't know what this thing is, but I've seen it all over. And then, of course, it's getting memed by everyone. And it says, when the manager asks you to play a high line versus City, but you're just a chill guy.
You know what's
I don't know what this is.
I can't even. I've seen some mad ones. I don't know. Maybe after the show, I've seen some mad ones, but yeah. It's
like I saw the first time I saw it was like 2-3 days ago. Someone was like, "Who the fuck is even this guy?" And it was just the regular stock photo of that thing with his arms. And like, do you know this is what Ainge does? Hands in his pockets, and people are fucking losing their mind. They're acting like he's, you know, drawing a weapon in the presence of a king. It's interesting.
If you're winning games, it doesn't matter. But when you're not winning games, it matters. If that makes sense. I answered the question on one of my rival shows. I said,
so is he supposed to control when the camera cuts to him? Because there's times that it cuts to him, and I see, or it cuts to the other manager, and you see him yelling and doing the flailing arm tube man thing, and then it cuts to him other times, and his hands are in his pockets. It's like, does he have to be flailing around for 90 minutes for people to believe that he knows what he's doing?
This is the question I asked in my rival show. I said, see Ancelotti, yeah? Ancelotti, he puts his hands in his pockets. Is that
Bro, we scored a goal, and they scored a goal, and he's like blowing on his coffee. It's a little too hot of a coffee.
The answer I got back is Ancelotti's a winner. He's won anything. And I was like, all right, cool, fair enough. Sorry.
Yeah, so when he was doing that at Everton, what were they saying?
I don't know what they were saying. But you know what?
There's plenty of times I saw Jose sitting down. Plenty of times I saw Conte sitting down. Those guys win everything too, right?
I thought he did a good job at Everton, to be fair, though. I'll be totally honest. But and after he left, they went down. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's just, yeah, you know, when people want to see passion, they want to see energy. It's a bit like, and it's a horrible comparison. You know, when you see like Ndembele or you see Basuma, they're running back, and it looks like they look lethargic. They don't look like they're sprinting back. It's different like when you see players sprinting back and making effort. If they jog back, then the fan base are like, look at him, he's lazy, blah, blah, blah. He has got no passion for the club. Get him out of my club. So when Andrew's got his hands in his pocket and we're losing like 2-0, fans just can't compute that. They're like,
yeah, he should run onto the pitch and kick the ball. Yeah, I agree.
He's not showing energy. He's not showing.
Yeah. You know. But like, I talk about this often with Paul, and it's like, I agree with the sentiment that if you're a professional fucking player at any level of any sport, and you need your manager with pom-poms and a skirt jumping and shouting, go team, go, kick that ball. No, kick it over there. Like, if you need that to do your fucking job, there's bigger problems afoot, in my opinion. And I just feel, you know, if anyone's like critiquing, it's just weird for me, like pocket watching, when you're like, well, this to watch and say like, oh, this grown man did this and it makes me so mad. He doesn't look him in the eyes, Ash. He doesn't even look him in the eyes. And it's like, why are we complaining about another man's demeanor and the way he, what if he's autistic and that's how he communicates? Because plenty of people on the spectrum, whether lightly, moderately, or heavily, they have different things where speaking in public is a different thing. And another notion of him speaking is after a match when he's just lost and they're like, he doesn't seem happy anymore. Remember that guy that was so happy? Yeah, when we were fucking winning. Yeah, of course. We lose a game and he's going to be pissed. We lose and I'm pissed. I lose a game in FIFA and I'm screaming and there's no one around me. But if you put a camera and a mic in front of my face and say, Jacob, that match in FIFA, you really just fucked you fucked it, bud. You fucked it. Talk to the, I'd be like, fuck you. Fuck that fucking asshole on the other end. I hope his internet cuts out for a week. I hope the power in his home goes down for 12 hours, you know? And they'd be like, oh, Jacob just doesn't know how to control himself in front of a camera. What kind of a manager is that? And it's just like, why are you so pressed on me, bro? Why are you so worried about a grown man?
Before you start gossiping about me, love, scratch your minge, sniff your fingers, because you have got bigger fish to fry.
Why did he call Ange autistic? Now they're going to have a field day with that one.
No, I'm saying what if? What if? Or what if the fact that he's lived in these Southeastern Asian cultures, and in those cultures, it's actually disrespectful to look people in the eye. So maybe he's grown accustomed to respecting people. And this is, again, he's swinging, and now people are saying he's hitting himself with it. I don't know. And maybe that is because he was in the Japanese culture. And I know for a fact in Japanese culture, looking in the eyes while they're talking, because eye contact in America is like, you look at me, boy, when I'm talking to you, I'm gonna smack you again. And that's how I grew up. Yeah. But in what I've been told and what I've researched in Japanese culture specifically, I don't mean to like conglomerate like Bentancur or anything, but in Japanese culture specifically, it was like looking in the eyes while they're talking to you is actually a sign of disrespect. So looking down seems to be like a normal thing to do.
All I'm going to say is sometimes you look down because you're actually in thought. You're in your thought process. Some people look down. Some people even look up because they're trying to, you know, get their words and kind of not calculate, but formulate. That's the word I'm thinking. So sometimes you might lose eye contact. I might look this way or I might look that way. Sometimes people might look down. He's just trying to think about he's been asked a question. So he wants to give the best possible answer. And he wants to, maybe he's being logical about it. So that's maybe why he's looking down. And he's not.
I'm just saying, my point in saying that those two different things, those two different examples, as I so eloquently put, is because we don't fucking know the reason why, but everyone want to fucking make up their mind on it, and it's weird behavior. That's why I said it, because no one knows. Like, why does that dude walk with a limp? Is he a pimp? Did he hurt his leg? Is it Boohoo Saka? Who is it? You know what I'm saying? There's multiple reasons why anything could be, and for anyone to say that they have a final reason, unless you fucking know Ainge personally, then I don't think anyone can answer it.
It's not a big deal, man. It's not that deep. I just think he's trying to gather his thoughts.
But it is that deep, Ash, because everywhere I go, it's like that is a stick that people use to beat him over the head with. It's like, oh, he lost and he wasn't smiling and he had his hands in his pockets. It's like, that's really weird for me. Why is that normal?
It's not, but like them, you've got to let it go now because people are going to think what they think. That's their opinion. Their opinion, they're allowed to have it, and you don't have to adopt it. That's all. Do you know what I mean? So it's what it is. We ain't got to die on a hill for that one. You know what I mean? We could just talk about the football, stick with it. Anything else is extra in my. Well, people are extra in the eggs up because they're looking for something to beat a man with a stick. Come on, they're looking.
So then, to tie that together with what you just said, beautiful point. Do you think Ainge's tactics are working? I
think the fact that he said he's gonna have to go away and think about it means that I think there's some issues there. I think there are. I think
has it worked? Does it work in times?
I think what's happening right now, he's realizing that a lot of teams have found a way to counteract his style of play or his methodology. And sometimes you need your players to step up in moments, but then you need to kind of put those players in their optimal position. Am I making sense? So where I love the idea of Ange, because I'm a big fan of pass and move, because a lot of the players sometimes they're not moving into space. How do you create space? By pulling the player out of position. Okay, you don't stand in a line 5 across their front line. You're not going to create any space like that. Some players might have to come short, some players might have to go long, and sometimes those players aren't executing that. However, I do think with Ange, talking about tactically, Son is better in the pocket, not in the pockets, but going from out to in, if that makes sense. The doggy is better overlapping on the outside. Do you know what I mean?
Him and Son do a nice little 1-2 link up at times when he runs on the outside specifically.
But when you study that as an opposition team, because that's what teams are doing now, they're getting video analysis and they're looking at the relationship between Son and the doggy, and they're like, all right, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to bring 2 or 3 men out here to deal with that. So Son's not going to be isolating one of our fullbacks, because we know that Son's going to want to do a 1-2 in that channel with a doggy, and sometimes the doggy's going to get in the channel and he's going to do a cutback. So we're going to be a bit more wiser to that. So these little nuances here is where Ange now has to slightly tweak things where, all right, cool, they figured that one. Now I'm going to have to use Kulusevski in a different way, use Porro in a different way, use Solanke a little bit further forward, because Solanke is really good at dropping into that kind of midfield pocket. But you know what? When Solanke got his most goals, it's because Areola pushed him higher up. Because I don't want you doing what Gary O'Neill said, dropping into the pocket. I want you to be on the shoulder of the defender. I want you to get into those spaces. And even when he scored against Aston Villa, he was our furthest forward player. Against Ipswich, it wasn't him. It was either Kulu or Johnson or even Werner. They were the highest player position. So it's about tweaking things where you're allowing your players, your best players, playing in their optimal position, and maybe playing Johnson as a 9, playing in behind that forward line, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So Maddison, another example. Maddison, everyone's fuming that he drops back into the 6th role or into a fullback role to find space. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the manager has a word with him and says, I no longer want you to drop and occupy those spaces. I want you where a doggy normally is, in that half space, in that pocket, just outside the area, in that attacking third. Do you know what I mean? And so maybe that's something he has a word with one of his players. Do you know what I mean? And that's a tweak that he actually adopts. So
this is where I get a little confused. Like, what is the best way? For me, I always, attribute like Jose Mourinho as a special one. He doesn't really, it didn't seem like he catered to the player unless it was like Kane. You know what I mean? And then he kind of catered that whole attack, won him the golden boot and assist or the playmaker. It was like, that's a kind of adaptation. I look like, how much are you supposed to adapt to these players? Because it seems like for all the players that don't do well, it's because Ainge doesn't use them right. Does that make sense? Like, why is it like that?
So I think what Mourinho did. What Mourinho did was he was trying to build his team around Kane. So sometimes you have a really good player and you kind of build the team around that player as a focal point. And then everything happens off the back of what they do. Because they've got so much quality in that particular area, they make other players look good. And they also hide the deficiencies of other players. So there might be some players that might not be good in crowded spaces. Do you know what I mean? And that, like Werner, for example, Werner might not be good when 3 or 4 players are around him. Do you know what I mean? So, okay, what do we do? Or one player. So what do we do to help Werner become the best version of himself? That's the type of conversation that Ange needs to be having with some of his players. How do I get the best version of Maddison? How do I get the best version of Solanke? How do I get the best version of Brennan Johnson? Where would I position them? What do I tell them tactically in the game? How do I set them up? And how do we define ourselves a little bit different? Because let's face it, like I said, a lot more teams are giving Spurs a lot more respect, and therefore they're doing their homework and their due diligence, and we're having to find a different way. And that's a part of the reason why there's been some inconsistencies. Do you know what I mean? And look, I still think Ange will throw a curveball because he's done that before. There's certain times the lineups come up and everyone's like, oh my goodness, he's played Kulu in the midfield when he was playing Kulu out on the right wing. We never thought he would do that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's certain things where, oh my days, the doggy is now playing more on the outside. I didn't think he would listen. I didn't think he would do it. So sometimes, like, he does throw little curveballs where no one saw things coming, and he's actually doing these little nuances. So it's just down to the players, it's not just on Ange, because we need those players to step up as well. We need players like Basuma and Sarr to have a 10 out of 10. We really need Basuma to be switched on in this game. The good thing about these players as well, when it comes to the big games, they get up for it. They get excited. They step up another level. When it's the smaller games, I feel like that's when the complacencies happen. And sometimes we underestimate, and Ange's included in this as well. Sometimes he hasn't done like Palace pressed us as soon as we tried to play out the back. What do you do then? You should be telling your players, all right, cool, Vicario, go long, trick him, because that's what Liverpool did against Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? They tried to press. Oh, all of a sudden we're going long. All right, now play short. And that buys you 2 yards, 5 yards, because they're expecting us to go long, but this time we've gone short again. So it's all about mixing up the game and having more than one way to kind of break that opponent down and keeping your opponent guessing. Do you know what I'm saying? And then playing, as I said before, the strengths to your players and hiding the deficiencies. It's all about hiding and protecting those players, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, and that's where I kind of, I guess, get really confused with the murky areas. Like, how much do you cater to the individual as opposed to remaining true to your philosophy and finding what fits, like not forcing square pegs into round holes? Because clearly that's happening with Maddison drifting into those deeper areas. No one's ever been like Maddison picking up the ball in the fucking, deep lying 6 areas, and then being the 4th addition to the like build. It just doesn't make sense. But I don't also want to be like, oh, you need the size 10.5 shoes. Either you take 10 or 11. How about that?
Bro, like, it's mad. It's not black or white. I know people hate
that. That's why I'm like, where is the fine balance?
Basically, like, sometimes you need your players, your creative players, to be creative. You can't tell them what to do. If you give creative players too much structure, then you're gonna have happen what we did with Conte. Conte was like, go here, go there, no, don't move there. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it's too much like a school teacher. Sometimes you need to have a structure, but then on top of that structure, when it gets to the final third, that's when you let your creative players to become creative, because then how do you set up against someone that's unpredictable? You can't really tactically prepare against a team that when your attacking players are on the ball, they're finding out new ways to kind of break those lines. Do you know what I mean? That's why you're seeing a little link up between Maddison and Kulu, do little 1-2 flicks, and they were interchanging, and then we saw like magical plays, little triangles happening. But I think the reason why Maddison would drop into the 6 sometimes, or drop into a fullback, or pull as a wide midfielder, is because that's where the space is. And sometimes we criticize our football players for not having IQ, not having enough IQ. I think Maddison's IQ is quite high, but some of the players around him, they're not making runs off of him. So if Maddison drops into the 6, then someone needs to drop into the hole where he would normally operate in, so then he can find that pass into them. And then once that player's in between the lines, no one else has picked them up, and then they can find a through ball into Solanke or into a Son or into a Johnson. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Or vice versa. Yeah. When Maddison's high up, we need, and this is the problem at the moment, when Basuma, the first 10 games, what he used to do, he used to get that ball and turn his man. As soon as he turned his man, all of a sudden, he's beating the press. It looks like a counter-attack. Maddison's higher up, or he's in a different position, and it worked. Do you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Maddison would be deeper. Maddison would turn. Remember the Arsenal game? It almost went pair. When Maddison did a Cruyff turn, lost the ball, and then it went to Jesus, and Jesus hit it over the bar. And then equally, there was a time when Basuma against Man City, ironically, at the Etihad, I think we were 2-1 up, and then he did a Cruyff turn, lost the ball, and then they pegged it back to 2-2, or pegged it back to 3-2. I can't remember. But
how many Trivellas must one do before he realizes the Trivella's not going to work?
Well, this is it. Teams study you. That's the thing. The thing is, like, teams study you. People are like,
he loads it up, bro. It's like a long ass jump shot, bro. I know you're about to shoot it. You're not pump faking.
We need to mix up our game, and players need to mix up their game as well. It's not just Ange that needs to mix up his tactics. The players need to mix up their game as well. So normally does a Cruyff turn. Sometimes no, Madison just go short, just do a short pass, ask for a little 1-2, keep it simple, keep the ball ticking, and then go long. 2, 3 passes, 4 passes, get confidence around your team. Maybe create a pyramid or a diamond or a little triangle with passes, commit bodies onto one side, and then switch. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Or then be unpredictable. So it's not just about Ange switching up the tactics and knowing when to tweak, knowing when to press, knowing when not to press. It's the nuances and the timing. I think that's where Hertzler kind of got the run on us. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hertzler.
Not Dracula. Hertzler.
Hertzler, I barely know her.
You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Yeah, I know. Look, man, this show's been going on forever. I could fucking learn from you all evening, man. And I just can't thank you enough for joining me tonight. It's been a longer show. My wife's been texting me like, how much longer? I'm like, don't worry, Daddy in here learning. All right, you can't put a time constraint on this kind of knowledge. So I really do appreciate it. But look, we've built our predicted 11 for Saturday. What's your score predictions for this, my friend?
Oh, it's techie. I'll be honest with you. Our away form stinks. I want to be ultra positive. So my heart is saying we nick a point because you just can't predict what Spurs is going to come out. You just can't. You can't. You really can't. So,
no way Timo starts, right? Ryan Gloria is just trolling.
Yeah, trolling. Come on.
No way.
Behave.
No way.
Behave.
No way. No.
Behave. So my heart says we nick a point. My head, you don't want to hear what my head says. So let's leave that.
I think the people do. I may not want to, but you know what? I don't live in an echo chamber like some folks.
No, you know what it is? If it wasn't for like they've got certain players that are coming back, it's just really triggered me. If I'm being totally honest. And I thought their centre backs was going to be that young kid. I thought they're going to have Simpson. I won't say his second name.
Simpson Pussy.
Euro.
Simpson. I gotta emphasize. You gotta make sure the inflection on pussy.
Pussy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Simpson Pussy.
My neighbors. Oh, damn.
Neighbor's like, it is late, so.
No, so yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's what my energy was coming off the back of that. And also tired Walker and tired Gundogan and tired Kovacic, and yeah, I don't know. But the Brian is coming back, Kanji's back, Stones is back. Oh man.
Well, what I saw was this: that they've returned to training. So has Van de Ven, but they're saying no.
They might not start, but
yeah,
it's going to give their whole dressing room a boost. Do you know what I mean? And on top of that, their gaffer has signed a new contract too.
That is where I'm a little. They're going to want to do it for him. He's never lost 5 in a row. He's not. Like, there's a lot of compounding factors that has me a little afraid.
It's not looking the greatest.
So your heart says a draw, your head says a loss, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what. You got to listen to your heart, baby. Because without your heart, your brain ain't getting no blood, baby. So the blood that your brain's operating off, that it's allowing the notions of fear, doubt, and all those other ones start to creep in. That's because the heart is pushing that blood in there, baby.
They say you've got 3 brains. You've got 3 brains. One is in your head, one is in your chest, and the other one is basically your gut. That's why people their gut feeling.
Did you see I was trying to.
But yeah.
And the who? They were thinking with, because girls often say, "Oh, he was just thinking with his dick. He didn't mean it." Well, technically, his heart, head, soul, all aligned like a chakra right into another nussy. But hey, we're not here to talk about that. I would say whatever that lower region brain is, it's always been like my compass directionally. I've always had a good sense of direction in the wild. Like, this is when I know this way is north or this way. You can't make me, get flipped and turned around. But so score prediction, you want to throw one out? You can. It's arbitrary, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to copy making good time. A 2-2 sounds about right to me. It's gonna be
2-2?
goals. It's gonna be goals.
You know, there's a rap song I was listening to today, and it's funny that you say 2-2 because they said I pull up on the scene with that 2-2, and it's almost like he's saying 2-2. So that's a little fun play on words. Making good times got a 2-2. Good night, Stephen Wilson with a 2-1. Jordan says 2-0 City. My heart hurts.
You gonna sleep for 3 days, my baby. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna make you cry.
How you gonna show us?
Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, ay, ay. Jordan, that's how you got me feeling. Ay, ay, ay. Eugene's being optimistic with a 2-2. Shoshi's the only one standing in the face of adversity. Says 3-0 Tottenham. Says we're going to keep a clean sheet. Nah, I'm not going that far, but I believe, baby. I was going to go 4-0 City, but I'm feeling optimistic, so they're going 3-0 City. Jordan, don't make me play another clip on you. Pep owes us a solid from last year. I do agree. 2-3, come on, you Spurs. Sonny looked deadly in his international games. Rested Sonny? I don't know. Visualize us winning and you will manifest it. Yeah, I'm visualizing it. I'm manifesting it right now in my pants. See it to believe it. Yeah, we got that gut feeling, the mojo. That's what Austin Powers called it, the mojo. And you don't know what mojo is until you have none of it left or your tank has been recently drained, if you know what I mean. Shout out Ray Lewis. Great minds think alike. Yes, that is true. Making good time says, I'd like to go with a win, but I'm not sure. Big up Sleeping Dragon. Appreciate you being here. Real quick, make sure y'all do hit the likes and stuff. I don't know if we're in and around 100, which we should be, but I don't know. Billy McCuish says 3-1 Spurs. There's a good one. So we've got 2 good predictions so far. TKA's got a 1-1, which that's technically still a good prediction. See, this is where I find it a little bit interesting, and like my head instantly is like, no way it's going to be just 1-1 with the way that both of us play. However, some of the things that give me hope that we could get a result is that in recent history, coming back from international break, City's first game coming back, they usually draw versus some shit team. We could be that shit team. That could be us. That could be us, baby. You know, so that's a trend that I'm hoping we continue. You know, they play poor versus not great team right after internationals. But again, just the losing 4 in a row does not look good for us. The whole me saying Ainge broke Pep is fun, but what is it like? You can poke the bear until it actually knows that you're poking it, so to speak. Then you're fucked. And I hope we're not fucked. So I could actually see a 1-1, a stinky 1-1 draw. But I'm going to be braggadocious a little bit. I think it's going to be high-flying, action-packed, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Look at all the teams that have been scoring against them. If you look at their goals conceded, you know, they're 13 goals conceded matches our 13 goals. So, you know, if Ainge's suicide kamikaze kill yourself in front of a train defense, so are they. So we can get after that ass just as they can. And we've scored more goals than them. Although it is just 1, I would argue in a lot of matches we should have had fucking more, but we were being pussies. And we should rectify that. And if we do, I gotta go with a cheeky 3-2 win, Tottenham Hotspur. Talk to me.
Do you think, all right, we'll know tomorrow. We'll know later on. We'll know when Ange does his press conference. But do you think there's a chance, a small chance, that Mickey Van der Ven could come in? Or no, not at all. He's far. He's not going to make it.
I think he maybe on the bench, but it seems like he just started training this week, because what they originally said was he's not going to start training till after the international break, and now that's happening. So,
definitely no.
Yeah. But look, I do want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Ash. It's been a fantastic show. Thank you, everyone in the chat who's been here either the whole time, short time, long time, or watching this back on playback. That does mean something special to me. And shout out the sponsors tonight: Chris Peters, Faz Radfar. I know what your prediction is, buddy. 4-1 Tottenham. Eugene, member for 3 months. Donna Cullen gifting 5 members. And big up to Eugene as well, again, with a little late cheeky super chat. So I appreciate your financial support. However, you don't have to spend money to support my channel, Ash's channel, or any YouTuber channel. Just hit that subscribe, hit the like button, and share the video. Those 3 things go very, very far, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Technically, like maybe 6 clicks total on the computer. So that's all it costs. Very cheap to support good people. So make sure you go over Spurs Kings TV. Again, it's in the title, in the description. Go subscribe, and you can learn from the one and only ASHMATIC. I just saw Zapour say Romero closer than Van de Ven. I think there's more of a chance. I think it's more likely Romero would play before Van de Ven, because he did play, like he did go to international, he did start, and then he left at halftime with that same recurring injury. So who knows, man? We'll find out more tomorrow. I do agree. And I like Ash Basha says, we always learn something from Ash. So thank you again, Ash, for joining the show. Do appreciate that very much. And as always, folks, these last few bits are for you, because if you're not going to like the video yet, you're probably not going to like it anyway. So this last bit is for you. Stay blessed, stay fresh, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Let's go.
United Spurs of America, with your hosts, Michael and Jacob.